Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to Guy Aitchison's Reinventing the Tattoo community, a place for tattooers, apprentices, collectors, and the curious to unite under all things art and tattoos. We encourage you to join in these live streams and real-world events where we offer a new option for connecting with each other to better your art, develop your skill set, and be with other like-minded artists. If you're new to our community, you can find us beaming out nearly every day. We've evolved into a quality network of amazing live and on-demand tattoo and art shows that are expanding all the time. Thank you to everyone joining us on YouTube or Facebook, and a special thanks to those of you who are listening to the podcast. Our event schedule and notifications can be found in our official Reinventing the Tattoo community. To get there, search for and download the Reinventing the Tattoo app that is found in both of your app stores, Apple and Google Play. You can also join directly at community.reinventingthetattoo.com. All of our network shows, art jams, drawing groups, interviews, panels, webinars can be enjoyed on demand and are stored in our library, as well as the YouTube and podcast channels. There you'll find countless tattoo and art rabbit holes, perfect for the front room of your studio or to entertain tattoo clients. In fact, we're beaming out 4 channels 24/7. If you go to reinventing247.com, you can see all of this and enter to win a goodie bag with samples from Cheyenne cartridges, raw pigments, and D-Lies Pro. We also have several weekly shows and drawing groups too. Every Sunday afternoon at 1 p.m., you can join Jason Lesser for his Reinventing drawing group. All skill levels are welcome. At 9 p.m. on Sundays, you can watch the Tattoo Weekly with myself, Gabe Ripley, and Jake Meeks of our affiliate Fireside Tattoo. Every Monday evening, we have our evening canon class with subscribers led by Guy Aitchison. This month, we are focusing on anatomy. To join, subscribe to the canon at courses.reinventingthetattoo.com. Every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m., we have Ricardo Sturdivant for his Reinventing drawing group. Wednesdays at noon, you can find the Tattoo Now show hosted by Gabe Ripley. Every Thursday afternoon, you can find the Tattoo Collecting podcast hosted by Vaughn Baker and Jordan Ruckus. And on Thursday mornings, subscribers are welcome to join Kier for skill levels that are focused on apprentices, fundamentals, and such. Now, there are several ways to support our show, and that is by checking out some of our upcoming pro development and on-demand shows. We've got stuff from Andre Malcolm, BJ Betts, Bob Tyrell, and others. Find all of this at courses.reinventingthetattoo.com. Of course, we mentioned this being a free community, and we want to say thank you to all of our sponsors for making that happen for us. We recommend checking out World Tattoo Events at worldtattooevents.com. They are the largest, most comprehensive resource for tattoo events worldwide. Lots of stuff is updating as conventions are rescheduling like crazy, so definitely remember to check them out. We also have inkjet stencils found at inkjetstencils.com. Now, print stencils from your mobile or computer to save your time, hands, and apprentices' hands. Webinars and free samples are located on their website. We've also got Raw Pigments, an ink company that is tapping into the source with acrylic-free pigments that have really been impressing artists across the globe. You can find out more about them at rawpigments.co. We also have D-Lies Pro, known internationally as Dermalize Pro. Protect your art. If you're using saran wrap, watch videos of tattooers to see what it's all about at dermalizepro.com. Also, thank you to Tattoo Now, which is tattoo technology for tattooers. And of course, the founder and inspiration behind Reinventing the Tattoo, Guy Aitchison. You can find his Biomech Encyclopedia, DVDs, machines, paintings, and more at guyaitchison.com. We also want to say thank you to our affiliate Fireside Tattoo Network, the Apprenticeship Diaries, and ecofriendlytattoosupplies.com. Now, I know it's cool seeing us on the screen, but there, of course, are real-world events that are upcoming at the end of this year. October 3rd to 6th, the Paradise BYOB in Jiminy Peak, Massachusetts, will be webcasting shows live with tons of great content going on. as well as November 12th to 14th. You can find us in Belgium at the Brussels Tattoo Convention. Nick Baxter, Ivana, and Gabe will be doing seminars, beaming in an art jam, and a subscriber-exclusive meetups, as well as general ones. Next May 20th to 22nd, you can find us in Hell City. July 8th to 10th, the Rock River Tattoo and Art Expo. There'll be a reinventing track artist, amazing venue. It's easy to get to from anywhere in the world. July 29th to 31st, 2022, the Rubber City Tattoo Invitational will be back with Tony Urbanik in Akron, Ohio. Now, if you guys missed that Paradise Tattoo Gathering, don't worry. Next October 20th to 23rd, the Paradise Tattoo Gathering will be back. Now, we welcome positive reviews on our channels and would love for you to follow us. But if you would like to host a reinventing event or to sponsor our community, just send us an email to management@reinventingthetattoo.com. Now, I'm going to get out of here. I will be in the background reading off comments. I'll have my browser open to share inspirations and references. Let me know where you're beaming in from. Thanks to our growing crew of contributing artists, truly helping Reinventing reach more of the right people for the right reasons. Thank you for inspiring each other and everyone in our virtual Reinventing offices.
Thanks,
All right,
Lauren.
Jordan, Fawn, Adam, what is up?
Hey.
Thanks, Lauren.
Yeah, thank you for that.
We have our buddy Adam with us today, and Odds.
Adam France, how you doing, man?
Oh, you're still muted.
Muted. Hey guys.
Story of my life, man.
Thanks for waking up early and joining us, man.
Yeah, we're happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, definitely. Always a pleasure to have you on. Adam France fan club over here.
Yeah, we spend a lot of time talking about Adam on the show, so
Awesome.
this is the guy.
Hi.
So-
Hello.
So what's new over on the West Coast with you guys?
Just making art, really. I feel like we're trying to avoid a lot of the smoke. On the West Coast has definitely been pretty rampant with fires this season, way earlier than before. Even last year, I think we kind of talked about it a little bit on the podcast, just a tiny bit last summer, a bit. But, it wasn't anywhere near as bad as it's gotten this year.
Really?
Really?
I'm glad you guys came out when you did and hung out with us. And
Yeah.
that was cool.
Yeah. So yeah, we're kind of like, even though it's been summertime, there's been little to, if any, like time where we've been outside. We've spent a lot of it just inside, almost like the East Coast winter, kind of pulled up and just making stuff, getting things ready.
Really?
Yeah. Luckily, we've had a few festivals and some things that we've been able to go do music wise. Took us out of the smoke zone,
Right.
So we get a few breaks here and there. But man, just where we're at, we're kind of dealing with at least 3 fires that have just kept us pretty choked out most of summer.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Global warming, man. It's a real thing. It's definitely affecting a lot of different areas on climate.
It's
Beautiful
been a crazy
sunsets.
year, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But it's made a lot of art for us.
Yeah,
I mean,
trying to
the
make
positive
art.
angle, I feel like,
Yeah.
it's, definitely pushed us inside to where we've just tried to focus on making creations.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Good. I feel like I'm about ready to start a whole batch of new projects. I've had one that's kind of been on the back burner that I'm going to jump into pretty hard over the next couple of weeks.
You and me both.
Yeah.
You and me both.
Yeah, Jordan's got, like-
juices are flowing.
He's got, you can't see him behind me, but this wall behind me, there's art supplies stacked up on both sides. So
Right.
he went and gave
Blick
Blick
trip.
a whole bunch of money.
Yeah. Yep. Yesterday, Blick
Take
got
my
on
money.
got
Take it all.
inspired.
Is it the sale time where they do like 3 for $1?
I didn't even know they had sales going on,
Oh,
but I went there and there were a ton of sales going on.
Maybe
So
I'll
I just
continue
stocked
that.
up.
Yeah. If you get on their email or kind of listing, it definitely helps to have some of those updates coming through.
Nice.
Yeah, they've got pretty good,
Yeah,
like,
if anyone doesn't know about Blick, learn about Blick. That's my favorite art store.
used to be Utrecht. They became one.
What was it?
Utrecht?
Utrecht? Never heard of
Utrecht.
that.
Utrecht was always my art store of choice. And then they became Blick.
Grand Rapids, we had a place called the Service Reproduction Center. And that was like the super awesome art store no one knew about unless you were like actually a professional artist.
Nice.
I drove by that. I wouldn't think to like stop at something named that to
Yeah,
get.
right. No, for sure. Like it was in like a weird industrial area. You'd think it'd be like some weird like print company or something like that.
There's a fantastic art store like that in Lansing too. It like from the outside, all you see is PPG on the side. So it looks like just like a paint store, like
Right.
a finish store, like an automotive or house paint store. And you go in and half the store is all like fine art supplies. It's fantastic.
Right,
Their
just in
prices are
heaven.
great. Yeah. Love it. Love those
That's
little
great.
like off the beaten path art stores. Cause then you can just kind of wander. Cause if you found your way in there, they know you kind of belong.
Mhm.
Where like if you're on like a campus art store where they might have all the supplies and materials, you might be watched like a hawk, and it's really hard to like, do I want to go Prismacolor this time or do I want to go Faber-Castell? So you can't like just make up your mind without somebody
It's hawking
hovering over you,
on
making
ya.
sure you're not filling your backpack.
Right.
Look at me.
No kidding. Right.
Look at me. I
But-
look homeless. Oh, I guess it's hard to differentiate real homeless and a homeless looking artist.
Right.
Touche.
Yeah, I know. I always feel like at first I'm getting the eyes, and then like after a minute I have a cart with like $300 worth of shit in it, and it's like, no, I'm here to spend real money on your supplies, please.
Thank you. Let's throw some furniture in here while we're at it.
Yeah, right. I'll take that. No,
You
but I was
guys
really
help me carry this easel.
what? What'd you
Make
say?
me help you carry things, you know.
Right. But I'm just really happy with like the range of supplies they have for every art form. So like I was going into sculpting area. I don't know. I didn't expect to see as much sculpting stuff, but they literally had like 10 different kinds of mold making stuff,
Mhm.
and then like 10 different kinds of things to cast. You know, things for fine detail, things for less detail, things that, you know, you want your molds to be more strong, less strong. You want to cast for plaster, you want to cast for whatever.
All the options.
Yeah.
All the options. Last time I went to the art supply store, they were having their canvas sale. So I got some big stretched, like nice studio canvases. And like before I even checked out, he was like, this was a large canvas. And he just said, and just like paused. And I was like, I've got a full size van. And he was like, oh, okay. He's like, a lot of people will check out and take these big things out to the parking lot and realize they don't fit. And then they try to strap them to the top of their car. And by the time they've gotten home, they've totally ruined their canvas. Like, you shouldn't have even wasted your money. I was like, oh no, this is why I have a full size van for moments just like this.
Oh my
That's
god.
happened to me before. I was with my friend and we realized there was that 70% off sale somewhere. And like I got a 36 by 48 canvas and she was like this little sedan, and we managed to put it in the car somehow, but it definitely took us like 15 minutes.
By the time you got it out, it was a rhombus.
Like, please, I want this so bad.
Fits, just fit.
And not to mention I got like 6 other huge canvases, so it's just a lot.
Oh, yeah. One time with the Silverado, I went to Blick when there was like a Blick downtown, like Columbus there. It's like a high rise or something.
The old High Street Blick. Ah,
Yeah,
that was the
there was,
one.
like, this like little grimy parking lot behind it just for like maybe 5 or 10 cars or something.
That was my favorite parking lot. Why are you
Yeah,
calling
right,
it grimy?
you could like walk kind of between the two buildings and also
Yeah.
with the art store, you know. But anyways, things change. That's okay. I remember when I first moved to Columbus, though, I want to paint a big painting. I really want to see what they have, you know. I went in and bought something that was like 60 by 72 or something. It was like the largest stretch thing they had in the back. It barely fit between the wheel wells in the Silverado. It's just like when I slid it into the bed, it was like just big enough for the bed to barely close, and it just slid between the wells of the wheels in the back. Like,
Nice.
dang, this is gonna be a lot of art to try to cover.
So then you ended up driving 15 miles per hour all the way home, so it didn't
Well,
turn
you
into
know,
a kite.
Right.
I did have like a topper on the thing, you know, so like that saved a lot of time, you know, but
Okay.
or space and loss, I guess. But for the most part, like it's just like I was like, I don't know. I don't think I've ever taken one that like filled the whole back of my truck like that at the time. You know, I think it took me like 3 years to finish it too. It became like 3 other things. So
Mhm.
just I had no plan. I was just like, I'm gonna paint a thing.
Nice.
My last big painting, that's how it went, and I love what it turned into. It just started big, and I just put color on, and then I'd put
Go on,
another
little
color
rubber
over
ducky.
it and splatter and make a mess, and just kind of like watched it evolve into what it wanted to evolve into. And it turned into a crazy looking landscape.
Heck yeah.
Everything turns into a space for me.
I think
That's awesome.
looking at a bunch of blank canvases is pretty inspiring.
Just seeing the blank ready to be turned into something.
Yeah, when I'm at the store, just if I got a bunch of them and I look at them, I'm just like, what can I do? I can make a triptych out of these ones. I happen to get
Mhm.
the same, or just, I don't know. There's a lot you can do when there's nothing setting an expectation.
Mm-hmm. Endless possibilities.
I feel that. I feel that looking at a canvas.
I do like walking through like art supply stores and stuff and just like looking around and being like, I wonder what you're going to be turned into. Picking up like a block of clay and like, I wonder if you're going to be turned into jewelry or if you're going to be used for like animation. Are you going to be a sculpture? Put it back down, carry on. Like, what's
Right.
this gonna?
The potential.
Yeah.
Every single one's just got an infinite amount of little universes that it could take off from.
Can you imagine what it must have been like, or what it must be like for like stone sculptors to look at like a giant chunk of marble or granite and like just, this is what you want to be. Just start chipping away. Be
It
cool.
already is what it is.
Yeah,
what it's
to
gonna be.
literally start with like a piece of earth and then form it into something. Like when we're at the art supply store, it's already halfway there. So to be the person that looks at like this mineral and decides like, you know what, I'm going to grind that up and turn it into paint and see what happens. And then all the
There's like a
potentials.
sculpture- Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
There's a sculpture at the top of one of the Andes Mountains, it's like someone's head, like it was dedicated to him. But like, how did that person go to the top of the mountain and think, okay, I'm gonna like make this into someone's face? Like, it's pretty cool. It's,
Of all the things that could have been done, why settle on that? Like, how do you get to that? With the weird creative minds, and then the inspiration, the spark of inspiration. That's like, oh no, take this piece of clay and turn it into this, or now that you've done this, cast it out of that. Like,
Right. I love the idea of potential like that. That a piece of clay can be so many different things. I don't know. I love creating so much.
Yeah.
Just like even just like taking a piece of clay, like, you know, I start mushing it in my hands, and then all of a sudden I like create like a snake-like figure. And I'm like, huh, all right, well that kind of looks like this, and just like start moving something into a head, and I'm like, oh, that okay, now that head kind of looks like this weird little dragon snake monster head. Start turning that into something, and it's like, so it's like looking at a cloud. You know, you like look at a cloud and like looks at a cloud at first, and you're like, oh wait, oh no, that kind of looks like a tiger. Wait, no, that's like a tiger jumping on a thing or something like that.
dragon snake monster.
Dragon snake monster, whatever it wants to be. But that's what I love about, like, I don't know, the human mind, just applying like strange vision to things.
Sometimes I feel like, so to flip this to tattooing, one of the things that I feel is kind of challenging when I've got like, say the client emails and they're like, I want to give you free reign to do whatever you want. Then it's almost overwhelming. Like, oh, there are so many possibilities. What direction do you want to run? And they're like, it's up to you. Could be anything. And I get to decide. It's almost like a deeper challenge.
Right. Right.
Can you pick a color?
But that's something I love about like abstract stuff and like bio and I don't know, even your landscapey stuff, or where like, I don't know, where you just can start with something so rough at first, like, you know, maybe you don't know exactly what it's going to be, where it's like, oh, I can do anything, where it's like, maybe you just you start drawing and you just make a couple big lines and you're like, oh wait, no, that kind of looks like it's going to be like this, and then it starts going into that, and you just start like forming a vision from nothing almost, where it's like you didn't even know what you wanted at first until like your own vision started to see it.
When you and Adam started your arm, did he already have a sketch that you were working off of, or did it just emerge?
Not a sketch that I do of. I think he just kind of drew it straight out of his noggin.
Nice.
Right, Adam.
You had like I had scribbles and stuff, you know, but I don't think I like set them all out around me or something when I went to like make it on your arm. Yeah. And then some of that was like cover up ideas too that I had to just kind of see in person when you're in front of me and kind of gauge what I could do from that point. And then, you know, with that is also like having to foresee before even getting to shading of like what the value structure needs to be like to cover that, and then also give balance to the rest of the arm value wise. So a lot of composition stuff kind of went into it, you know, before I even saw you kind of too, because that was a concept that I've had on the list for quite a while. I think I sent you like the huge list even.
Yeah.
That's what, you know, you were like something down that line. So all those are things that I've just kind of pondered and kicked around and made little like mental notes and small sketches of and shit that just, I'm like, this needs to happen. I just don't
Yeah.
know here, you know. Well, that's where I'm at with it. It's like I like to give people that list, you know, and just be like, hey, if any of this is kind of striking your interest more than other stuff, let's just maybe shoot for one of these. And that helps, you know, that gives like kind of what Fawn was saying a second ago, where like they're a little too like, do whatever, just do that stuff you do, make that space broccoli looking stuff on people or whatever, you know, okay, I get what you're saying. But, you know, it's like you'd rather have a little bit more like, you know, specific direction at times or a theme or something like that. You know, it's like it's paid, at least for me in the long run, on like on my own like creativity and output and stuff on that, to have a list, to make a list, to have a huge like block of stuff. It's just a bunch of cool concept kind of one sentence descriptions and big list, you know, just
Yeah, I really like that. I liked how you did that. I thought it was really, even, you know, as a tattoo artist and as a client, it was awesome being able to read a big list of ideas coming from an artist that I really wanted, you know, art from. You know, I was looking at your work for a long time, so approaching the whole situation just like any other client, and then like seeing, I don't know, I never thought about doing something like that. Just not even like, to me in my head, it was like always have a drawing to show. And it's like, oh, I really like the idea of being able to come up with all these ideas and stuff. And then you have the script for a drawing to go by later.
Yeah. I feel like the description angle too, at least for me, like keeps me from pre-drawing a bunch of stuff that doesn't fit that client's personality specifically, for one. You know, I have like a bunch of sketches made for like a bunch of concepts or something, and when I actually meet the person, they're just it just doesn't really vibe up with what I feel like they're about and what their
Yeah.
needs to be and things like that, you know. So I prefer also not to draw a ton of things up ahead of time and then shoot that around to the community and to collectors and to potential clients and stuff, because then there's these, you know, rendered, finished, or at least, you know, someone that could see the end of it and complete it, drawing out there that I haven't even had a chance to tattoo my own concept yet, you know. Like I'd rather you just read like a descriptive paragraph that, if your imagination's working well, will lead you in a direction that lets you see what that might be like in your head. But I don't have any visual references for that stuff. I want to make it more like, you know, where your brain has to construct, oh, what a dinosaur speed would look like with a few other little details or something, you know.
Right. And they were pretty descriptive too. You know, it wasn't like, oh, I got a dinosaur mech idea, I got a, you know, a mushroom mech idea, I got this, you know, you gave me quite a few different ideas, but each one was like a thoroughly thought out like paragraph or more of what the description was.
Like a list of
it definitely
too. You know, you need that like adjective.
Right.
Kind of
it really allowed my mind to click with which one I really resonated with.
That's awesome.
And honestly, like, you know, it was right up the alley of what I wanted in the first place, you know, what the idea was. I was like, oh shit, this is kind of exactly what I was thinking.
Well, the concept list has just gotten larger and larger. So many new ones and different ideas all the time. So yeah, if anybody ever wants a cool idea, I definitely have a list you can read.
All right. I might steal that idea a little bit and write up some ideas for people.
Yeah, you know, and that's another thing I felt like, you know, sending a list of concepts around, you know, a lot of my clients, luckily at this point, I feel like they're tattooers or related to the tattoo industry somehow, with being a, you know, pretty solid collector of that type of art. And even at that point, I thought, wow, you know, if you've got a really good imagination, this concept list is just going to do you great. You're going to read through some of these and be like, dang, I'm going to draw something like that. You know, I'm going to make, but that's okay, because you didn't look at my drawing. You're not making like my drawing in replication. You just, you know, that gave you a cool idea and you took it in your direction and your brain's going to assimilate it. However, sweet, man. Like, you know, make a bigger list, fucking send it around. Let's do this all year. Let's go.
I feel like my experience with Adam was kind of the opposite. It was like, Adam, will you please work on me? He's like, meh. Adam, will you please work on me? Meh. And then finally I'm like, so this is one of the things that I like to talk about a lot, is where like sometimes when you're talking about your ideas with an artist, sometimes the language might be like misleading. Like if I were to walk up to somebody and be like, I'd love to have like a floral abstract leg sleeve with like microscopic details, that might not lead you to like what we came up with. But I run into Adam one time. I don't know if we were at like a Red Tree event or if it was Hell City or I was just getting supplies or whatever. But I show him some like photos that I had saved that were like macro, like scanning microscope photography of like plant cells and diatoms and like weird crystal structures. And he was like, okay, all right, let's go ahead and schedule your consultation. But it took a few times of like talking about ideas before it actually like clicked. And he was like, oh, this is not the typical floral. Huh? What was that?
Your impression of me is hilarious.
I don't know how to like, you've got a lot of like gestural things that I can't do because I'm not you. So it's like there's eyebrow things where it's like, or like, you know.
That's funny.
You can't really vocalize body language. But
We all have our own flair on that, that's for sure.
But it definitely took a few times of talking about ideas, like to like, I think, be on the same page, because my ideas were so vague. But at the same time, it was like, I just kind of like, if this was a pile of inspiration in front of you, what would you do with it?
Right.
And then I feel like that's when like the connection happened, like total freedom, but like this kind of like weirdness, maybe alien, maybe not.
Yeah, there was a lot of like, I don't know, let's call it shruggability to that one. Kind of
Yeah.
Where it's like, stuff.
But to be fair, when
alien things.
When you're trying to communicate about things that are so abstract that they don't even necessarily have a name, and like some of the things about art in general that appeal to me is when you're looking at something and you like, it's tangible, you know, it could exist, but you might not be able to put your finger on what it is. Like when you look at like, let's say a photo of like neurons super up close. Am I looking at like plant matter? Am I looking at tissue? Is this an electrical current? Like, I know it exists, but what is it? Like, I like spaces like that where it's like, am I looking at something microscopic? Am I looking at something huge? Like, I like things that make you ask more questions than like giving you the full story.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I don't know, for me, when people look at my bio tattoos and they're like, well, what is it? I don't really get it. And I'm like, what do you imagine it is? Like, I'm not going to answer that question for you because my answer is probably different.
It's big, it's small. I don't know. You be the decider.
It's like using the full spectrum to fill even the details.
Right.
I mean, like there's just that much all the way in as far as you want to dive with those type of ideas. You know,
that's my favorite thing about bio, like abstract stuff.
Is this outer space? Is this interstellar? Is this microscopic?
Like, I want you to be the decider. Like, I don't want to sit and explain it to you. I want you to look at it and like tell me what you see. Tell me
what is it?
What does that look to? What does that look to you? Like, I know what I feel about it, but I like hearing. I want to hear what other people feel about it, so I can feel something different. See it in a different way because everyone's going to see it different.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I love hearing I love hearing people's opinions about like art and my art and stuff. And like, cause as an artist, you get so stuck to your vision and what maybe you thought you wanted from it and everything. And then you hear somebody else explain, like, I'm like, what do you see in this? Or like, or you don't even ask, people say like, oh, were you doing this and this and this? Or was that supposed to be this? And it's like, I didn't even think about that. I didn't at all, but that actually makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
Or it doesn't make any sense. And you're like, but still, like, that's awesome. You saw that.
There's part of my leg where people are like, I've gotten asked if it's armor. I've gotten asked if it's a pine cone. I've gotten asked if it's coral. I've gotten asked if it's stone. And it's like the area right below my knee. And I'm always just like, yeah.
Right. Like explaining my back to people is fucking, I love it. Cause I mean, I don't know how to explain it, except for like, it's, my soul, think about like a soul. Probably wouldn't look like a body, right? Probably wouldn't look like a human. This is what it looks like.
I feel
that's
like my
vision
soul
for it. And Guy brought it out perfectly.
Yeah.
And then people are always like, because then people are confronted with their idea of like what a soul would look like.
Mm-hmm.
And then like they actually start to think about that. And some people like think a soul like is supposed to look like a human body. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know. I'm not the real decider on that. I know what my vision is for, the experiences I've had in my life.
I imagine mine looking like a plasma ball.
What is the soul of a tree? Like something like my back, but more tree-like. I don't know. I'd love to
Hey,
know
does it have
that.
like 2 arms and 2 legs? You know?
Maybe it's just like a
Probably
hyper-dimensional
not.
soul with fucking buzzing like a cicada.
Hyperdimensional.
It's like not a look, but a feeling.
Yeah.
Mhm. Lives on the emotional scale.
In
Yeah.
the fifth dimension.
Mhm. Betwixt the air itself.
Twixt.
I've already won on that level.
What'd you say?
I think the trees are already accelerating past us on that level of understanding.
No, I kind of believe that, honestly.
Hmm.
I think there's a plant intelligence out there.
Oh, for sure.
Mycelium is some of the connection between it all.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that connects us to that, to the plant kingdom and all kinds of other kingdoms. Like we definitely are wielding a lot of little critters that have attached to us to even exist, you know.
Have you had? You've probably done ayahuasca?
Yeah,
Alaska.
yeah.
Be
I thought
comfortable.
it was because of the coffee.
Sorry.
I,
Ayahuasca.
yes.
My bad. I feel like that's probably one of the ones that like brings you the most into like the plant kingdom.
Yeah, I would say that, and you know, things like mescaline and anything that's, you know, over maybe 4 or 5 grams of dried psilocybin. And then yeah, any tryptamine based, you know, journeys usually have a pretty good connective point. You know, it depends on what you're around and, you know, kind of where your setting is. I think that helps attach
Yeah.
to the plant kingdom differently, you know, what our proximity and things like that. And then also, you know, your eyeballs are going to soak in like whatever environment you're kind of sitting in. That's kind of where your thoughts might head, and also where you might go on those type of visions and stuff too. So yeah, I feel like, you know, ayahuasca definitely made me connect to the plant kingdom and to like the earth and, you know, the universe kind of feeling that is just so through and throughout all of us, like this toroidal kind of just push of like a loop or something, you know, but it kind of showed that everything's going through that in its own way. And then even outside that, it's like the planet's doing that magnetically, the universe has like a fluid motion like that. And I don't know, like at least for me, it like didn't really like make me feel any more connected than I already thought I was to that type of stuff. It definitely fixes a lot of internal stuff to where if you didn't have that already, you're gonna be like, whoa, you need to be nicer to plants or something else, you know. But yeah, they all assist in that. Any psychedelic has got the potential to make you connect way deeper with whatever you choose to put the thought into.
Yeah. Yeah, I can agree with all that.
So let me ask you this.
Interesting.
So I've
Thank you.
had an LSD experience where it made me, you know, manners are important to me anyways. Like I'm a very like, be polite, be nice to people, da, da, da. But anyways, while I was tripping, I was thinking about how, you know, I was thinking of the ghost in the machine basically. And like, does this interact with us? Do we interact with it? Does it matter how we interact with it? You know what I mean? Like, for instance, when we're having technical difficulties and I'm angry and I'm like cussing out like the electronic devices, are they less likely to cooperate than if I'm like cool and like, I know there's a problem, I'm gonna figure it out, something's crisscrossed somewhere. Like, do you think the energy of the technology is intelligent and woke yet? Do you think it's intelligent and perceptive of our energy yet?
No.
You don't think? Do you think? I think Siri's a lot more
there's-
helpful if you're
I don't
polite.
want to say no. I think there's a subtleness to that that's very attached to like anything else, to like the way our neurons fire and the way our memories fire and stuff. Because I think like, those technological demons are probably the fact that like we have 30 chords that we have to set up and things like that. So trying as a human being, trying to remember all these chords and do all these different things, like there's so many like chances for misfirings and like in the mind and stuff.
One thing to not be plugged in
But I
all
think
the way.
that plays into like, you know, if you believe in energy and like it plays into spiritual energy, you know, the energy you're putting into that thing that's causing that.
I'm seeing your face
whatever memories there are.
like while looking at your head, there's a Tesla ball plasma coil behind you.
No, and we didn't even plug it in. You should plug in the plasma ball.
And-
I was
and, you
thinking
know,
that just a minute
When
ago.
those don't have a glass dome around them, they emit the visible spectrum of what, you know, the current and, you know, the actual electrical impulses through the air are actually doing all the time. So with a cord, you're really just harnessing something that's already just zipping around all the time. Like your head can be measured to be one that has like a field coming off of it up to 3 to 6 feet at times. We connect better with each other when we're within the 3 to 2 foot range or something, you know, because our energies, you know, are actually like kind of compatibly like overlapping in a way, you know, off of each other. And, you know, I think like that hasn't been studied and evaluated anywhere near enough for us to really understand if it's any type of sentient pathway for information like that, you know. But for us to be able to put it into a cable and harness those energies and redirect them, you know, that's leaning towards the potential for it to be, you know, something that has just way more of a vast, you know, possibility there of like, if it, you know, it could just be like a massive information highway that we just haven't really got ourselves really keyed into enough. And unfortunately, you know, they really ran Tesla into the dirt way back. So who knows where that, you know, kind of tech and ideas have, you know, gotten to at this point. But yeah, maybe, man.
I think our Alexa gets pretty sassy with us sometimes. Why did she heard me? Oh God.
She's sending the drones, man.
Who knows more about us than our electronic devices?
Like,
Yeah.
I think like when it comes like, so like the idea and intention of what each one of these, there's so much like energy, I feel like, in intention and in something that even like facilitates something in life that we do. So like having our objects of the things that cause the technological demon, something that could aggravate us enough for that's got a lot of energy in it, I feel like, towards, you know, if you start if it's not facilitating what we need to facilitate for. There's something I'm trying to touch at a little bit more than just that. I'm losing it, but
Yeah,
I feel like that's kind of like intention has a lot of, you know, has a lot of spiritual energy in general towards that. So if you have that in an object, that object's innately going to have that energy, I feel like. And
Fair.
you're still creating a balance all the time between that thing.
Is it a
Because
powerful
if you
object?
ignore it, it's not going to work for you. But if
Is it a
you-
powerful object because it's powerful, or is it powerful because we're
Right.
making it powerful?
kind of like a crystal, like I don't know, maybe you could say
Yeah.
crystal innately has energy, or you could, you know, say that it doesn't. But intention is, you know, the brain is super powerful. So when you put that much intention towards something, and you know that, oh, that's a red crystal, and you know, I know that that's going to affect my root chakra. Every day I'm going to think about that crystal, and that's my root chakra crystal. It's red, it's a great crystal. Your root chakra be pumping every day. You're going to be working on that shit little by little, affirmation. So that thing's now is like endowed with some sort of energy. I feel like any object can be that way. A technological one's even more
I
so.
agree.
And
I
then
agree.
you're working with electrical circuits, kind of like what he's saying, you know, I think that's real. It's cool to think about all the energy that we are literally working with at the same time, with just like connecting cords, like moving, splicing different
All
ways.
minerals. We're just connecting minerals one to the next with different pathways. Remember when we were
pretty cool
talking
thing.
about like
Like,
who looks at a
the
rock
electrical
and knows
field.
what it's going to be? Could you imagine like a piece of copper being in the side of a mountain, knowing that it's going to be a microphone cable?
It's kind of like the clay thing you're talking about. Like I like walking by a mountain and looking at it. No, that's going to be a bunch of wire one day.
Oh, that quartz is going to be turned into the finest of crystals touch screens.
Look at us monkeys.
Taking one tool, turning it into another.
It's all about vision. All about vision.
Or we could just be flesh robots that are being driven around by bacteria.
in electrical fields and
Yes.
magnetism.
We could
I'm
be
being
that. We could
controlled
just
by
be
little
flesh
bacterias.
robots.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think
we for
that's
sure are.
pretty like valid, you know, idea on the fractionalization of all these critters that have become like all these different things, you know. But I don't know, man. I'm still leaning to the fact that like we're all just like embodying different kind of flesh vessels, these vessels of achievement, kind of, you know, that we just are experiencing things from different angles and different eyeballs and stuff. But it's all just the same beast somewhere that's somehow like cut itself up into a bunch of different stuff here. So I don't know, like, yeah, I feel like it is just that, you know, like we're just embodying these like flesh robots, totally.
Feel that ghost in the shell.
So
I feel
I
like-
say it all the time joking, but have you ever heard me like when I like walk into like a doorway, like I'll like miss the opening and I'll like hit my shoulder square on the door jamb? Have you seen me do that? I do it all the
I
time.
don't know.
I always joke around. It's like, I forget that I have mass and take up space. But like, I really do forget that I have mass and take up space. Like sometimes it's like, I should just be able to be over there. Like I should just be able to, there I am. Like I should be able to like, yeah, like sometimes I literally like my brain gets moving so fast that I forget that I have the limitations of like a body. Like I forget that I have mass. I say it jokingly, but it's really like, I forgot I have mass again. Like that makes me feel like, I don't know, flesh robots.
Yeah,
Or
I think the soul is not totally bound by the same body it's in. I think I've had enough experiences in my life to prove to me that my soul can exist outside of my body, which proves that the body's not necessarily what defines that.
well, I was just going to say, or it kind of like puts me in touch with like simulation theory, which again, I forgot that I have mass. This is a simulation. We don't really have mass. It's a simulation. If I'm not saying I believe that, I'm just saying it just makes me wonder.
Right.
This was like the ultimate Sims game and we accidentally just like walk into walls and just stay there for a second, little feet moving.
I mean, is it like more of like a future thought that's like manifesting itself now, or is that like something that you've already been before and you realize that like fuck, now I'm in like a fucking body that can't go through like shit like it used to, you know, like you don't have to be like even in a body to be a proton, and a proton can go through anything, you know.
You remember when you could go through the wall?
Protons are speaking for you again.
Yeah, you know,
They're
it's like, I
pissed.
mean, like
They're
you're
upset.
made
They
out of
can't
them
go.
now. Like you're just putting they came together differently this time, you know, and it's like,
Like, this is what we got to do this time.
Yeah, you know, so all those things that end in Tron, you know, they're ready to zip and zing and go through whatever, you know. It's like just now we're like in a physical thing that doesn't let us do that. But like, I don't know, that's another thing, you know, with like psychedelics. Like there's been an angle a few times where it's shown me that like outside this body, there's still a massive amount of shit that happens. And like, you know, it's like there's no reason to fear what you would think is the death of this thing that you're in. You know, you actually need to rejoice in the fact that you have whatever time you have in this thing to do stuff, because you know, it's a weird little chance to be in this thing as often as you might want to be. And there's a ton of other stuff that you're going to be needed for energy wise, like you're fractionalized and all these other things that like are still requiring some type of energy that there's no more energy. There's only this much, you know, and it's only fractionalized into certain things to keep it all cooking and moving and growing and happening. And, you know, it's like eventually you're just going to be fractionalized again back into all this other stuff, but it's not death. You know, that was one thing it showed me so many times that I was like, oh my God, I'm going to die one day. Death is going to suck. I'm not going to be here and all this stuff. But I'm like, I want to do a bunch of stuff with the rest of my life here, but I'm also fucking stoked about what it's going to be like zipping around doing other shit, you know,
Right.
To actually not have mass.
Yeah, I'm okay with
To
it.
not
At
be
least
limited by
At least
mass.
temporarily Bardo style, and then get back to it, you know. It's like just let's get back to it on like another planet or something. I want to know more about the universe.
Yeah, exactly.
I think if I have an exit, sorry.
I think it's important to honor the amount of time that is like in your destiny too, is to like not cheat death and not try to end this place early, to honor the amount of time that you're supposed to learn and experience things and use that knowledge into your next life, whether you're in a different dimension, you don't even have mass, you go to another planet and you're like a tree or a dinosaur. Just use all that knowledge and to better your experience.
I wish we didn't forget.
Totally.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't think we actually do. I think anything carbon based, there's something to do with carbon. I don't know if we've talked about this before, but like I've definitely had these weird, like epiphanies happen in those type of moments where I've got to zoom in on what some of these ribbons of color and things are zipping all over the surface of other stuff, you know. pinpointed one that, definitely showed me that carbon, being what it takes to make any type of what we understand as a life form, is some like flash drive kind of for like living creatures. And to whatever we do as an experience, or whatever we do as like what we consider evolution, is literally coming somehow from carbon. And having that reintroduced back into the living being kind of uploads and re-uploads the generations before, and the adaptabilities and the necessities for different just compatibilities with the environment and things like that, and is literally where our experiences, like what we consider like the Akashic records or something that would hold all the data and knowledge of all the things. It's in carbon. Somehow carbon is holding that.
It's funny when you start talking
that's an
about
awesome
carbon
thought.
on
That
an
really is.
organic level like that, because if you start looking at carbon on a geometric level, and you start looking at like, if you guys follow any of my artwork at all, you know that I like to play with a lot of the plutonic solids. Like I just daydream in those shapes, like plutonic solids, kaleidoscopes, universe. That's my daydream all the time. So once I start like doing more homework about where these shapes come from, and why they are present in everything, in every life form, you see like the cell structures, the molecular structures of like how water forms and how water forms under different conditions. Like it all goes back to like, what's the most powerful, strongest shape? What's the fundamental base of life? It's carbon. And what's the most basic shape that carbon forms? And it's that three carbon structure, and then everything grows off of that three carbon, that triangular 3 carbon structure, which is pretty amazing. I don't know, that's magic to me. That's pretty magic to know that like when you start breaking things down to like the smallest of what they are, the most basic piece of what it is, we're down to protons and electrons again, but of carbon. And we all break every life form breaks down to carbon, and then carbon is only in these most sacred of shapes.
I think that's very cool. That's an awesome thought.
It's
Makes me
nuts.
think about the whole as above, so below type thing, where it's just like, even on every scale of every microcosm, there's a whole fucking world of things going on that really have no true idea of like its own greater good. Probably, it doesn't know, like, cells inside of us don't understand our thoughts. They don't understand the everyday comings and goings of everything that we are doing, but they know their function in life and what they're doing in the world and the universe that they're provided. But it is a whole detailed, very intricate 3D full dimensional universe that they're living in everyday experience in time, just like we are. And it's just crazy how many different scales of life there are that's occurring on. And it's hard to believe that we're like the last living scale. That's insane to think. Like, it's just so crazy. I really feel like even outside, of course, outside of even the known universe, there's just gonna be more and more and more, and it's probably just growing into one or part of some huge greater being out there. And that's probably not even God. That's probably just like another fucking average ass fucking
This could be like a
alien.
Dr. Seussical
Doesn't give a
though.
fuck. There's probably millions of them out there, and they're all got different personalities. Some love life, some hate life.
Like our entire observable universe could be in one tiny droplet of water forming an ice crystal, making a snowflake that's falling on a mountain in the middle of Whoville. Like it could be that. We don't really know where we are in the grand scheme of things as far as like the chain of scale. We could just be a tiny little microcosm inside of something else.
Yeah.
It's pretty humbling to think that, isn't it?
Right, because what possible use do you have on a grand celestial scale like that? But also, if all the cells in our body didn't do what they do, we still couldn't do what we're doing. So all those little things that could never totally understand, maybe they do understand.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Because I've been thinking
Trying
about
to understand intelligence on that scales, it's super alien. We couldn't imagine.
What's that, odds?
Sorry.
Oh, it's totally good. I just had the same thought like since I was like 7 years old when I learned what atoms and molecules were. I was like, what if, because like a cell is kind of similar to the earth or us, like, we all have this like functioning being. And I'm like, what if we're just like molecules in like the raindrop of a different universe or something? I don't know. We could be way smaller than we think.
Right. We really could be. And I just think it's so crazy when you relate, the atomic world to like just the space in general, and just the space between things, and how, I don't know, things orbit each other and gravity works. That's very vague, but at the same time, just, I don't know how much space there is between things in the subatomic world, and then how much space there is between things on a bigger scale. If you're on that scale, if you're in a certain scale of that, it just makes things seem so like, you think there couldn't be something bigger out there, but really, if you just keep looking at the proof, like there always is something bigger.
Could you imagine if that's what we found out aliens were, was the something bigger? Just like
The
checking
space-
in. Yeah. Yeah, they've shrunk themselves down to
Yeah,
check in on us.
Right? It's like, where are you?
Look
But,
at you
like,
guys.
You're in me right
Look
now,
at
but
you,
like
little
I'm
tiny
in you by
things.
you right now.
Like
Yeah.
in inner space.
That would be how dope would that be? The giant celestial being that
Our
our
entire
universe has created.
our entire observable universe could be one protein inside of a whole nother
Right?
life
You
form.
remember that life of a cell thing where the
Yeah.
protein's just like
We could
little
be the
things just
li-
like
one-
holding the protein.
One
moving it.
protein, one little.
That's us.
One speckle of a pancake.
One
Whatever.
mitochondria.
two mitochondrias.
Yeah, I feel like I tried to explain that to my teachers and they're like, what the heck are you talking about, crazy 7-year-old? And I was like, it's like space. Like the cells are just like space. Our body has like a system that's like happening out there. Yeah, I'm glad you
And
guys
then once you start understanding like fractal and string theory, and you understand how like repeats into like on different scales, like once you understand how like ripples of like energy work and wavelengths and things like that, you start understanding that the scale just keeps growing exponentially. So there's no way to know where we fall in that scale for real. Like,
Have you ever seen that Google video where like they start on a person in a neighborhood, like Sally or something, and it zooms out?
Yeah,
Earth
just those
and then-
huge scale ones.
Yeah, that's pretty cool
I
perspective.
love
on
those. I
How
love those.
small the Earth is compared to just other suns that we know of.
Those videos keep getting bigger too. I feel like, or like every time I see a new one, they're like someone's knowing like there's more knowledge, like someone learned more and made a bigger one. So it even makes
Jordan
the
showed
scale
me
even
one
bigger.
one time, and it was so
Is it the VR one?
yeah, the VR one where it goes from like you start with the astronaut and you can either go like into
Yeah,
him
go
through
all the
like
way
all of his cells
down to
into
the-
his like neurons and like cells and like the
Whoa.
basic carbon structures, or you can like pan all the way back out to the observable universe.
And it
That
gives
was a
you
pretty trippy
realistic, it
little
gives you a
ride.
pretty realistic experience of what it would be like in those, like on those scales. And I think that's the wildest thing. Never experienced anything in life like that. Really made me feel like, oh, this is kind of what that'd be like to watch all these little fucking neurons or not neurons, neutrons blipping around everywhere. Like now I can actually see, you can actually see that whole like entanglement thing where they're like here and then they're gone. It's
Mhm.
like, oh, hey, where are you guys going? You're here, then you're gone.
Trippy.
Mhm.
Space.
I know it's just a simulation, but I like things that give you a good visualization. It
Mhm.
makes you actually create a template for like what that thought could be like. So
I
then you
like
go
to
back in
imagine.
imagination and you're like, that's kind of what that'd feel like, just be floating around in space next to these little fucking subatomic manifolds at the base of reality.
It's crazy. It's pretty mind bending. I feel like everybody needs to watch the video that you showed me. How hard would it be to find that?
Well, the life of a cell.
Is that what it was? The one where it like
The little cell was like,
No, not that one.
Oh, you
the
need
VR?
Yeah, you straight up need VR.
There's not like a one.
I bet
view
there's
of it on
I bet there
YouTube?
is a one view of it, but I just don't think it'd be the same. I don't think it'd be the same.
I'm gonna see if I can find it because it's pretty cool. And then also like maybe
it's
watch
called
Interstellar and it'll
magnitude.
blow your mind and you can kind of get on some of these wavelengths if we've lost you. We got pretty
Yeah.
heady this episode.
No, this is what it's meant to be.
Well, it's bound to happen when Adam joins
Adam's
us.
muted. They're doing something.
They've got an intruder.
With the cat.
That
Yeah,
kitty intruder.
yeah, cat.
Adam, guess what I was blessed with a couple weeks ago by a client?
Is it a cat?
It was not a cat.
Oh,
It was not a cat, but
I don't know.
I would accept that. I would have accepted it as a tip. I would accept cats.
put that
But
out.
so I had a client give me like literally like 100 gigabytes of video of UFO videos, just thousands and thousands of videos. And they're all like just like cell phone videos from around the world, military videos, every kind of video. And this guy said he just found it on like the depths of Reddit. He was just looking at some stuff and, you know, found it and then couldn't go back and find it again after he had it. But I luckily had a, you know, 130 gigabyte flash drive with me just by chance that day.
Oh.
Because he brought it up and I was like, dude, I got to get these videos. I'm like, I definitely have to get them all. He's like, yo, cool, definitely. And I mean, honestly, they're all super legit. They're like just people taken from cell phones and stuff, and you can hear people talking in the background, and there's just like these huge long, I don't even know. There's so many videos. It's insane. So some of them aren't were probably not real, and I think less
I was
believable.
gonna say, yeah, like, can you kind of pinpoint anything that looks a little hoaxy or just kind of like
Yeah, I think that's just a huge collection of just like a ton of just collected videos. So I've definitely seen some that were a little like hokey pokey, and I'm like, whatever, I don't even want to think about that one. Some of them that are just so minor, and like whatever, but not a lot. They're all pretty legit, most of them, to be honest. I turned it on with like thinking that I'm going to watch a ton of fake videos, to be honest. And a lot of them, like, you know, I could definitely spend time scrutinizing them. And you can tell that most of them are real, that they're like taken when they're taken, and that they're legit, like some random family, some random people, you know, sitting there talking about the UFO they're watching, and the whole family be like the kids, you know, yelling, oh my God, that's crazy.
Here's a whole like cookout, like pointing at it and stuff.
Right. And there's a few other ones that were like these like 5 to 10 part segments, each one like segment like be like 15, you know, or like each segment be like 15 minutes each, and it'd be like 5 of them. One of them was in like South Africa, and like these kids, you know, this whole entire school in South Africa seen a UFO land back, like, you know, I think it was back in like the 70s or 80s. They seen a UFO land, and they seen a being come out of it, and they were all terrified. They all had this huge experience, every kid coordinating the same exact story of like this fucking literal like an alien being that came out of a spaceship and landed not that far from like where they were. It's just kind of like a school kind of out in the boonies, and it's just like this reporter basically talking about these kids' experiences. And it's a fairly old video. We're definitely from like, you know, the video itself is probably from the 80s or 90s, but it's just like a full report on what these kids saw. And even the teachers seen it, and they're like, there's no way we could get all these kids to corroborate these stories. And there's a couple things like that I found in there, but I still need to go through all the videos.
Well, sounds like you got a little gold mine there, man. It's lots to dig through.
Right.
A lot of stuff too, you know, you kind of have to like cross-reference with like what might already be out on the internet and shit like that too, you know. Like, I don't know, I feel like you're like definitely pretty well versed in what everybody's already kind of
right. See, something I find really interesting with it is like, so many of the videos they're from around the world for sure, but like so many of the videos are like the same types of crafts. You see so many that like are kind of related to each other, and so there's definitely a ton of different ones, but there are also so many of them are related to each other and kind of do the same sort of maneuvers.
Yep.
And the way they act, and so many of them are the same experiences that I had myself, and I'm like, oh my God, that's the same fucking one. It's the same thing I seen.
Well, we're definitely in a weird time right now where you can access a lot of Freedom of Information Act has produced a good amount of stuff that, you know, we wouldn't have really seen up until here recently. You know, it might not have even been like seen as declassified enough for the public. And then there's been the COVID bill that had the 180-day kind of deadline for, you know, the Pentagon to kind of release things to Congress and stuff about that. And that hit in June. So we're, you know, 2 or 3 months in here for links that, you know, I can send you guys that are from the CIA drop, the FBI drop. I have one from like naval intelligence that they had to drop that was like,
Please drop me whatever links you got. I would love to.
Yeah, so you know, and actually like Durba sent me the one for the CIA. He's like, I don't know if you saw this, but you know, this
was that the recent Pentagon one?
Yeah, and like just before all the Pentagon release paperwork, because like that was kind of a bigger hubbub thing, but like in the middle of the 180-day thing, I'd say maybe 100 days or something like that into it, they just dropped it and didn't say anything. And it's just redacted paperwork mostly from things going all the way back to the 1950s. I want, you know, definitely want to just think like people like Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp, people like that were able to like actually like get the Freedom of Information Act to release these documents and things actually, a little bit earlier, just through them just
Yeah, they're out
pushing
there
and
killing it.
pestering and just really getting like under people's skin, I think, enough to where they were like, just, we're going to turn it loose. They know their shit, and they definitely got things released for a lot of us to like read. But I mean, just the CIA one is close to 4,000 documents deep,
What?
Oh,
Oh
my
wait,
gosh,
I
yeah.
didn't know about that one.
Insane, man.
All right, I need,
Most of
I need
it's
to
like,
get that. There's no
blacked
way I'll
out.
make my way through it, but still. there's some
I might be
information.
like 600 or 700 pages deep into something that I'm like, wow. They've definitely been covering up a lot of different things through the Air Force for a long time. They're from what I can tell from cross-referencing all three kind of paperworks around the same time in different, like in the 80s and 90s. They all have kind of some of the same paperwork that leads to all of them talking about 4 points on our planet that naval intelligence is aware of, that they're monitoring the comings and goings of craft from the ocean. And one is the Bering Strait near Alaska. They have a battleship unit that's been stationed there since 2002 that is on a rotation, that their only mission is to just monitor the comings and goings of what's cracking around that water area. Another one is the San Diego coast area, just south of San Diego, close to the Baja Peninsula. One is over by Delhi, India, like the coast off of like the Dharma kind of coast kind of area there, like the southwest. And then the other one is up by like southern Japan and the Sea of China. And that's causing issues because, obviously like Japan and China don't want some military battalion like just floating around the Sea of China, but that's even listed in there.
Real quick.
Yeah,
sorry. I was going to say on that point with the China thing in VR, the South China Sea, I wanted to see what was going on in the South
hope
China
you were gonna
Sea
bring
because
this
I
up.
heard, I hear also, I really didn't hear too many alien things about the South China Sea, but there's all sorts of secret shit that go on over there. And like, there's so much focus on an area. No one has any idea what it looks like, what is even going on there. Just a fucking weird point in the South China Sea. But what I found, I was just flying around on Google Earth, which basically you can just be a UFO and fly around in Google Earth and just be and just look everywhere. It's in VR. It's
right in, man.
It's super dope. But what I did is I found an area with some very strange looking things, all sorts of different crafts all over these different areas. Because you could see what boats look like. You can see what all sorts of different kinds of boats
me this. He's not making it up.
Look like. And then you see these different like red glowing lights all over the place. There's like one ship that literally looks like it got exploded. Like it's a giant fucking explosion. It's really weird. But around it are all these different ships that are, you can tell when the picture was taken, there was a little bit of exposure with them because some of them are like literally turning on a dime. You could see that they were moving when it was taken. So these little red blips had these like little trails. Some of them are turning, some of them are going forward, some of them they just kind of look weird and they're scattered everywhere. And then you can even there's a bunch of them kind of centered in the middle. And then you can see that when you keep going out farther and farther, there's still some kind of playing around in different areas, just kind of zipping around, doing little things.
And they definitely don't look like a photography glitch. You know how sometimes Google Earth, like as it pixelates things together, it doesn't look like that. It doesn't look like it really looks like it captured something in motion with like an infrared field around it.
And I ended up looking it up and just to see South China Sea, UFOs, Google Earth. And turns up that's a popular area for UFO people to go and look at. I had no idea. Other people have found that and we're talking about it. Some people talking about how it's just boats, and then some people are like, no, that's not how that goes. And I don't know.
The infrared field.
I really spent a long time hanging out around it, really flying around these dots. You can get pretty fucking close to them, and when you're in VR, you are there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at them and. It could be something else, it could be some weird military stuff. I don't doubt that at all, but it was definitely weird. It just looks super strange. I've never seen anything like it on Google Earth.
Maybe drone testing, like who knows? Like even though like it might look like a dot for the sake of like the satellite footage, like even the F-22 or the F-14, are super fast and highly advanced vehicles in the air that could just leave like an afterburner trail or something.
I feel like they would have to be, the way they were scattered, it would be extremely dangerous to have that many aircraft just flying in different directions like that.
That does sound like a little peculiar, yeah.
But it could be drone stuff for
Mhm.
sure. Maybe they have some weird drone thing. Drones are gonna come up as UFOs in some sort of way, I'm sure, to people.
Well, and those are like easily programmed to kind of keep distance from each other and do all kinds of different maneuvers as a group.
Right.
Different angles there. I mean, who
But it
knows?
was right in the middle of the South China Sea, so I
Yeah.
just thought that was kind of
Yeah.
like, it was like, whoa, this is a super weird thing here.
It's definitely on the
something's
list,
going
though.
on.
That's one of their 4 points that they're watching. And then like in the last like 15 years, they've added a 5th point that's pretty much like off the New Jersey kind of coast out that way into like the North Atlantic off the eastern seaboard kind of the United States. There's like another point that they've been able to be like, well, here too, we think is another spot. But yeah, I just, you need to get your hands on these links and look your way through it. Actually, like, the one I got from the FBI and the one from CIA, I was able to like actually just go to the CIA and the FBI's like public website homepages, and those links are on there based on, you being able to access it as a public information. So Freedom of Information Act is what you want to look at for any type of header.
Yeah.
Just follow through with that. But right now, those are the ones on the top of the list because everyone wants to read those and see what happened with like the whole release of documentation and stuff. Be prepared. Most of it's all redacted. There's just, you're going to read a paragraph out of like 6 that are blocked out black, and like from that, there's still enough to put the idea together of like what they're doing, what they're transporting, why there's so much secrecy involved. People's names and positions are still listed in a lot of it, so you can kind of see like who had their hands on what and at what times. I don't know. It's just, it's very interesting that, even with all that, still, it's like, you got to be an optimist kind of in a way while you're reading it and be like, oh, maybe this, maybe that, but
Right.
I don't know, we're still just waiting on enough information from, the right angles to get a valid point kind of built really that isn't just speculation, from all these people that like you and I and others, that just really, we want to know so bad, and we're not like idiots. We definitely realize something's going on. Our taxpayer money is going towards programs that are just geared towards monitoring these things. It's like, cool, man. I'm literally helping pay the bill for like keeping an eye on this stuff, and I don't get to know about it all.
Right.
That sucks.
I don't know. Just seems like I'm just one of those people who, like, I think that's like honestly one of the biggest fucking deals there is. If there's a deal out there, that's the deal. Like, I want to know so bad. Such a deep craving.
When I keep my tax money until like I get the info.
Yeah, right. Like, I'll pay taxes when you tell me about this shit.
Yeah, man. Like deal for deal, man. Like I got a contract too. Here, you guys sign this one, and then I'll sign yours.
I want the patents. I want to know about the technologies.
Yeah, I don't know. If I ever see one land near me, I'm totally carjacking that thing and taking off in it. Like,
I do feel like in our
Yeah.
lifetime we're going to get a lot of answers. It might not be soon enough for the curious, but I think we're going to get a lot of answers in our lifetime. I think as technology changes, like there are just too many people around the world who have recording devices in their hand and like actually using them. You just can't refute it anymore. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
can't say that all these people are crazy when they've actually got documented evidence that
about the videos that were sent to me is that like that made me think that when I was
you're
going
like,
through
this
them, I'm
is
like,
definitely a Motorola cell phone
Right,
video
or
from
just like-
1999. Yes, it is.
a flip phone.
between that and like iPhone videos, it's like, wow, people really are all over the place actually taking real videos though, like with their
Oh,
phones.
yeah.
Now that people have phones, there's a lot of video, and when you go online and look up UFO videos on YouTube, 3/4 of them are people talking about them, and it's like you'll see some clips and stuff, but like I'm not getting like a lot of real video and
Mhm.
things. I feel like so much of it's so diluted, and it's almost just like you're not going to get the information you really need if you're just going to sit there and sit through YouTube. Like, and it's nice to have a lot of just raw footage.
A little gold
Whether it's
mine of
real or
raw
not.
footage.
Oh, we shall be the deciders.
You guys want to talk about tattoos?
Sure. What you
Yeah.
got?
So yeah.
Let's pull up Adam's page. Do this one. So your Scab Wizard page, I really love the way that you are running that page. I like the way that you're like just sharing like full completed projects in the different you know, steps and different angles of the same project. It keeps it very like you can see the whole, you know, the whole evolution of the project.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I feel like my other, just, you know, what I consider now kind of more of like just kind of my personal or homepage on a lot of that stuff is just full of all kinds of different angles of stuff, festivals, different paintings, you know, different things I'm doing as a human. So I was like, I really would like to get a page going that's just front to back, kind of the evolution of a tattoo, you know, and like, you know, project for project. And I've just got so many that I've completed that I'm, you know, I have all these like sorted files for everybody now. So I'm just going through and I try to pull 10 or 15 pictures and send them to my Dropbox, and then just make that kind of like a, you know, daily or every couple hours kind of post to show that here's how this one kind of went through, you know, its stages. And, you know, I think that's helped a lot too, with like presenting it to certain clients that are like, oh, you know,
Understanding the process and how much time it takes.
yeah, it's not going to just happen in, you know, 1 or 2 sessions. It's going to take this many, and you can kind of check it out on there. And, you know, the body of work that can be presented without all this other like breakup of other stuff in between, you know, I like that uniformity of, you know, project based kind of tattoo scrolling that, you know, I've been able to get out of this new page. So yeah, you know, I like how things are going. I definitely utilized a lot of your projects, I feel like, or like I've
Our
shown.
coworker Corey was like, Fawn, I feel like I've seen your boobs every day this week. I was like,
Oh yeah.
thanks, Adam.
Well, you know, pasties and pictures and things like that. You know, I think we use like the pizza alien ones. Well, yeah, definitely a lot of tattoos on your chest there. But we won awards for that thing. It's awesome, you know.
Yeah.
Super rad. So
Yep.
definitely
I'm
wanted
super
to
proud of
put
it.
that on. Yeah.
It's just funny to
There you
like,
are.
oh, there they are. There's the puzzle pieces.
The puzzle piece. Heck yeah. Yeah, I like the potential for, you know, just having that much stuff to kind of load into it too as time goes on, because I'm, you know, obviously nowhere near like getting everything on there. And, you know, I just feel like I can kind of do it at my own leisure without being so like insta forced to get something tattoo related up that I'm working on right now. Like I can.
Oh, that's what I was looking for, the difference
complete the
between the 2
project.
sessions.
Oh yeah, that was early. Boom and boom. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Heck yeah.
Those were some brutal days, man.
Yeah.
So
lot.
Adam and Ty McEwen did this collaboratively on me. I survived.
You did. You're still here.
Ouch.
Look at Ty's hand.
All like deceivingly gentle.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's your leg. Look at that.
Crazy.
This is one of I'm gonna zoom in on this area because this is one of my favorites to show off.
I think that thing's on like a.
It's the anemone. You get it?
I love his little glow, man. We did a really good job of like making that guy fit the space, pop out of the back.
And now if you look up here, this area is fully tattooed and connected to my back. So it's
Yeah,
pretty
that's good, isn't
seamless
it?
now. Man, we've had quite the journey.
Yeah. There he is.
There was a close-up. That was even better. Yeah, this is probably like I love my whole leg, but this is my favorite detail to show
So
people.
cool.
All the little weird tentacles.
Disgusting. Disgusting.
Whoa. Yeah, it's cool seeing this stuff on like a different perspective here.
Like bigger than 4 inches.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, right. It's not like on my phone. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, that looks awesome.
All
Yeah,
right,
I've
I
got
think
so
we're
many more things. I want to like get into this archive page and just kind of keep it going from there, and then I can tattoo and complete other stuff, locally, and just put that in as I'm completing it and have like more to post instead of just one thing every 6 months or something when I see the client.
This is one of the cool reasons why I like the way you're presenting this page, because there's one side of my leg and there's the other, and you wouldn't even imagine that that was the same project, because one side's warm, the other side's cool. So it allows you to take the whole composition in.
It's crazy how the shin just like splits that whole zone like that. It's awesome. Came together really nicely.
Yeah, this is the area that I was talking about earlier, where I get asked if it's armor or if it's a pine cone or if it's a coral reef, and I'm always like, sure.
You're like, yes.
Yep.
It's all of this.
Yep, there it is early on. It's so cool to look back and see this.
What's this? Let's go back. There's like a little sketch on that one.
Little
Were we
scribbles.
talking about like Area 51 or something? Like, I feel like there's mountains and then like something that's like,
Let me get in there on it. Hold on. Bam.
I think it's like a sketch of Burning Man, actually.
I don't know.
Yeah,
It looks like an alien landing site.
Who's
I
who's
don't know.
that?
For some reason,
overlooking
I have like in my memory of us talking about like Black Rock City and like what those layout was like or something, but I could be wrong. And it could be aliens.
it's like
Could have been
a-
both in the same conversation.
Yeah,
One
yeah.
could be a sketch of Burning Man, the other could be
Totally.
UFO. Boom. That's probably what it was.
Heck yeah.
Is this Minnie Gray? Is that who this is?
Yep. Elena. Yep.
I ran into her at a show one time and I was like, hey, nice work. And she was like,
Yeah.
thanks, Adam France.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Awesome.
and I showed her my leg and she was like, oh, hey.
That's cool. Yeah, she's rad. She's got a bunch of cool tattoos. Like that's the one I did on that leg. Yeah, super fun piece. Lots of purples and greens. It was like her vibe with it. I used other colors, but
There's another good example from session 1 to like more fully rendered.
Gotcha.
Like it looks nice. It looks cool early on. One of the things, it's always discouraging when you've got a project out there and your client's like, it's finished enough.
yeah, at this
Oh, it
level,
needs so much
yeah.
more.
Just
But this
keep
is a good
moving.
example. Like, keep going, see it through.
Yeah, they're not such a short journey. Sometimes people definitely are easily, confused into thinking it's, way less of an endeavor. And I don't know, it's hard to really like educate people on like how long the process might be and things like that. So they've either seen someone else go through it or they've definitely, got another understanding from having something else larger tattooed on themselves. But sometimes you got to be the one that has the best amount of education for them on like what it's going to take and, letting them see like, hey, this is all we could get done in 8 hours today or something, like there's still this much to go, it's just I like that like it's almost like a conditioning towards like the larger bigger areas of the body eventually to where I feel like they walk away with this understanding of like I want to get another big piece and it's going to take this much and I want to book with a good artist that has the potential for the final outcome that I want, even though I get it now, it's going to take 12 sessions or something. it's always nice when they show up knowing that kind of stuff already.
Yeah.
Yeah, when
Yeah,
somebody's
right.
already prepared for like
yeah.
multiple
Whatever it takes,
passes.
man.
Oh yeah. Who did your other leg? Oh, cool. Yeah, sweet. Okay, I'm ready for your new one. You know, it's like, yes.
That's cool.
This is one of my favorite knees besides mine. I love my knee, obviously, but I think this one's awesome. I love the way that this area like drops back, almost like the fibers of an iris. If you ever like get obsessive about an eyeball and look at the iris fibers that kind of like dissipate into space like that.
Mhm.
Totally. Thanks. Yeah, I like that thing. It was fun to like try to keep it that monochromatic early and still like have depth.
Uh-huh.
We're both like, uh-huh.
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 I love these crazy space crystals.
Look like little spaceships. Look at that. I love that. That face.
Yeah, that ended up being a face, even though we were like not really planning on that.
Like, let's put some lips in there.
Yep,
Yeah,
it
sometimes
definitely.
things like pop out, you know, that you're like, whoa, that would be cool, you know. But we discussed it and she was totally cool with it. So I just kind of made it like it had like a sentient kind of shin kind of look to it. Yeah, cool stuff. Who did this shit? Damn.
Yeah, who did that?
Scab Wizard. Give them a follow.
Hey, thanks. Thank you.
So dope, man.
And here we, you know, it's just nice to see like the earlier photos, the earlier progress, because you've already seen what this leg turned into. So to see like the early line work, and you know, that's part of the like in these big projects, you just kind of got to trust the vision, and you've got to kind of just trust the process, because like sometimes they look crazy on the in-betweens.
Yeah.
Big tattoos,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
sometimes it's like, this does not even look like my work, but I promise it will.
Trust in the process. We'll get there. Damn.
It's definitely a long, long process. There's my friend Derek's chest and arms.
Crazy.
Yeah, I've watched his collection grow through the years.
Yeah, Derek's got some awesome stuff. Pretty sure he had Guy tattooing not too long back, even
Nice.
stuff from Guy now.
Good for him.
I love that center.
Let me know if I start clicking through these too fast. This is a super good example of like progress and like what it looks like in the in-betweens. I'm so glad you've been sharing stuff like this. It's really cool that, like I already said it, but it's really cool that you're curating this page like this.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I think it's something that, well, I mean, you know, unless you're just doing it all along and that's been your page from the beginning or something, you know, not a lot of us are really like showing like what the progress is always like, you know, and like, even like, you know, like that day, like we just went around with a 5 mag trying to just get the idea struck to skin before he was done.
Yeah.
You know, all that stuff and getting tattooed. And,
Yep.
you
Oh,
know,
I remember. Whew.
you hit a point, you know, where you're just like, okay, that's enough for today for all of us, and that's okay, you know. I mean, that was our marker drawing that morning, you know. I'm like, if we can just get this anyway, just, you know, nicked in a little bit to where it even heals lightly, like I'll work with it, no problems. The time goes on, you know, but it doesn't always have to be like so like precise and defined in that first session either. You know, I feel like I get a lot more like freedom later if it's not as crispy as it, you know, everyone is expecting a tattoo to look like at the first
Right.
session.
Start loose and tighten it up later.
For sure. And then things could still be loose that need to be out of focus or have a little bit softer of an edge and stuff.
Yeah, making those commitments right away can definitely, it's just going to end up with a better piece. I feel like it's good rules of a painting and stuff in general.
I fucking hate being like locked into like that much regimen that early, you know, and have to be like, well, it's all this or nothing, or it's not gonna look good, you know. It's like, I don't know. I like to sit down next session and have a little bit more like,
right, be able to build it,
freedom with it, yeah, and work. We'll look at it again after it's healed and be like, wow, cool, okay.
Right, let your ideas even like, you know, morph as you go on. You know, next time they come in there, you know, things aren't so strictly what they were. They are what they were, but at the same time, like you got room for, you know, still open-ended textures or like, you know, improvising new things as you go on and adding more to things.
Absolutely. Yeah, I like that. that's like, it feels a little bit more like free and also kind of like safe, I guess, in a way, you know, or I'm comfortable with, knowing that next time it might even get cooler than my brain had, the thought process for this time.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
It's
I
like
relate to that.
the evolution of a project. Like there are some projects that require you to have 100% of the details figured out right at the start, but there
Right.
are also ideas where there's a lot of magic in the flow, in the layers, in the story as it comes together.
I feel like I relate to that big time. I definitely hear that.
Oops.
I feel like when painting tattoos like this, when it can be like that, it's really nice. As a painter myself, I like to go about paintings like that. I like to start loose and tighten things up, and so it makes a really seamless transition when I'm doing bio and things. It's not so much with the geometry and all that, but with bio or anything that's more abstract, I love that kind of freedom where I can start really loose. I go through, get all just the gray shading down, just like what Adam said, just get the absolute base down. Anything just to get the outline of what we drew down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Dang. Don't go through the whole page. Jeez.
I'm just clicking through while we're talking, man.
Give me something to follow.
I don't usually have the privilege of like having such an organized like little catalog to click through, and you've taken the time to do it. So like,
Okay.
I
encourage
while we
others,
chit
man,
chat.
really, any other artists out there that kind of want to build a different look to their stuff, it's like a lot of times we get carried away with using our pages to kind of talk about what we did today or where we're going or what kind of thing we ate or whatever, it's like in between all that stuff, clients have to like select, oh, look, they actually do tattoos. Look at that, like fucking 15 pics back, there's a picture of a half finished thing or something. So I don't know. I think at least for me, I can just redirect people to this a lot easier. And the anthology kind of side of it too lets me just like take it as I want to like post project.
Yeah, I'm pretty private, so I've for several years now I've kept my like Instagram and Facebook like 98% work related. Like I might occasionally do like a post of my dog. That's about it.
Yeah.
I keep it pretty personal, private. I don't know. For no reason. I think it makes it easy when I do use my Instagram as my portfolio. And like, that's what I'm always directing people to. Like, I'd rather you see my work, and I'd rather you scroll back a few months and see how projects have evolved and see, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's really hard to get a picture of that when there's a lot of life on your feed. So I don't discourage it, but like, sometimes I think you need to make the decision. Are you going to use it as a portfolio, or is it going to be your life feed?
Totally. Well, and even that too, if you look at it like, say you're just posting things in the order that you're tattooing, even that becomes a little like convoluted after a while because, literally like looking at like 30 tattoos before they could find the progress photo of the one from the last session to even see like where it went, like even if it's just tattoos and art, in between your other tattoos and art are going to be like projects all strewn in between, different levels of completion and what you're working on and what you decided to, turn into photography for the day for the post. And, there's still a good mix up even in that level where it's like, for me, I felt like, I get a little like, if I was a client looking at my own page, this is how I'm going to be like thinking. And I'm like, damn, this is just chaos. It's that, it's me painting at a festival, it's my dog, it's me laying in my yard and, oh, look, I went to a beach, all this stuff, oh, look, a tattoo, oh, back to a painting. It's like just all over the place. I was like, I need something that's just tattoos for people to look at that isn't like this, like, ADD listing of this stuff.
Yeah, I did finally not too long ago make a personal page for myself. So for maybe a couple years now, I've got a personal page that like I'll occasionally post something weird on, like I just want to share, but it's not really like relevant to anything to do with my feed or story. So I do have that. And
Good.
I feel like, you know, if I do want to share more of my personal life, that's the appropriate page for me to do it on. You
Yeah.
know, pretty much only like closer friends follow me on that page. Some of my clients do, which is fine, but like, I don't know, share that personal stuff to the,
I feel like
I
also
don't
like
know.
you know, like mine's not so much always just personal either, but I also felt like another angle because I make and sell a lot of products and pins, and I sell tapestries. I have a ton of you know, we turn a lot of our paintings into like blotter paper art, you know, like you know, a lot of prints and, you know, enamel kind of little like pins and stickers and stuff. And that's just a constant thing that I feel like I'm making an ad for, doing a sales post for, having some announcement for a drop or something, you know. And I'm like, that I felt, you know, definitely also needed to be kind of something separate from just tattoo posts too, you know, where I'm like, you know, it got to be where, you know, my Adam France page is just, you know, every 10th or 5th or 3rd thing or something is an ad for some new thing I'm trying to sell or get people to, you know, snag up and acquire. So like, is
Get it
that,
while you can.
yeah, you know, but like that mixed in with a ton of my other shit, life, fucking tattoos, all these other things, you know, I'm like, that you know, I just kind of left that to that page, you know, when I started this Gab Wizard thing too. I'm like, let's just not do any of that on that other one at all, and make it all about just stuff that I've tattooed on people's bodies only.
Yep, I like it. I think it was a great idea. And I'm actually trying to, I only have a handful of posts on my TikTok, but I'm going to try and keep my TikTok just either
What's
like
TikTok?
critical, this other app thing where you can share like, you know, things. But I'm trying to keep that to just either like crucial, like milestones in big projects or finished projects. So just to make it like one catalog that only has finished work on it. But we'll see. I'm early on it. We'll see if I stay disciplined or if I just start posting videos of my dog.
You should do like lip sync videos of your dog.
She'd be down.
That's the thing, right? That's like TikTok. Like people like find other people's like audio and then like act something over the top of it. Or I don't know. I don't have time for that shit. I'm trying to make art all my life, you know, and like that I guess is like a way to create, but like it's also like a strange attack on like how we're like, you know, really intelligent humans, I think. So, I don't really know.
It's funny. I was talking with Derb just last night, and he was like, he was sitting and making a post about the tattoo he was just working on for the day. And as he finished it, he's like, do you ever just get that like rush of like relief and that like good feeling once you've gotten your post done for the day? And I was like, no, Derb. And he was like, you don't get like that good feeling? And I was like, no, I have no drive whatsoever to make like a post every day. It was just like, he's like, you don't get that? Nope. Nope. It's more like, oh, I haven't posted in like 4 or 5 days or a week or 2 weeks. Maybe I should post to let people know I'm alive. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
That's
know.
my obligation.
Derb definitely has like a different angle on it. You know, he's utilizing his for a lot of different business routines and
He loves the social media
and he
though.
does
It's a
have
whole,
like a social life kind of through it in a way where he connects with a lot of different people and stuff, you know, and like he's just definitely like a case in point where like people utilize it differently, you know. We all kind of got our own like angle on like how we want that
well, like,
community to like you know, like interact with us and how we interact with them, you know. And
so
some
like
of us are a little bit more guarded.
he and his wife Cervena, it's actually like one of their things that they do together. Like, oh, we're gonna have a TikTok day.
Definitely
So
like a
they
bonding
spend the day.
experience,
Yeah,
you
they
know? Yeah.
spend the whole day together, and sometimes they've got friends and stuff around, or sometimes it's just the two of them. But like, you know, as crazy as it sounds, they actually get to spend a lot of quality time together making these silly TikToks that people may or may not even pay attention to. But like for them, it's something that like they really have fun and enjoy doing together. So
yeah.
so for them, like some people it'll take over their life, but you know, I know it is a high priority to Derb, but it's been so helpful for him. And when it like is a helpful tool, like in other relationships in his life, as well as like business, you know,
Mhm.
put the time into it and interact with people. And it's also a cool way to like let people know he's a real person too.
Totally,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. He's not just like an entity that runs like Hell City and Red Tree and True Tubes and all these things. He's a dude.
Hmm.
He's a human, you know. He's got his own like personality and shit. And that's a way he can like, you know, kind of let that out without being like, here's the product I'm wanting everyone to get their hands on and stuff, you know. So that's cool. It's a good balance, I think, for like, you know, that type of, you know, mentality too, where you know, work kind of is in there a lot. You know, it's like you got to cut loose occasionally, fucking make people laugh at your own stuff, be a clown sometimes, you know, because like you can't take it all too seriously. At the end of the day, you're gonna be fucking burnt out, man. So
Mhm.
I like that. I like that, you know, our friends and other people get to utilize those type of angles to actually make that happen, man. That's cool. You know,
Mhm.
definitely like I watch it all. I just don't access it to like, you know, actually like make my own and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I get it totally, you know.
Yeah, I don't have the energy to do all that, but
You
hey,
guys are doing a lot,
if you
man.
got the energy for it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like your podcast and all kinds of stuff with tattooing and everything's enough, man.
Oh yeah, yeah, right.
I feel like I'm
thank
just
you.
finally starting to get my schedule and life under
I feel
control.
like I'm so bad with social media. I need to be better about it.
I
I'm
ne-
just like the project. It's the project thing. It's I have so many revolving projects that I don't want to like every time post a progress shot and just
Mhm.
have like my, you know, Instagram be cluttered with different shots.
Yeah.
I feel like I've done that so much that it's like by the time the pieces are done, there's like, you know, everyone feels like they've already seen it a million times, and like half the time people don't read the caption and they think it's a done piece or something like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it just keeps me from posting as much as I would like to.
Well, so one of the things that like we can always do, what is the disappearing stories? So you've got your feed and your timeline, right? Your timeline's the one that disappears. I can't remember. So like those, sometimes I'll like dump a whole bunch of pictures on that, but not on my permanent feed.
I didn't know there's one that disappears.
So yeah, you know,
Or it disappears in like 24 hours.
yeah, the story.
Oh,
That's
oh,
it.
stories. Yeah.
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 I said
never mind.
timeline. That wasn't
Unless you
right.
like, I think you can like highlight or, you know, pin them or
Yeah.
whatever to where like,
Stories. Yeah, I feel that.
yeah, that's a
I
good
try to
place
do
to
it.
put
I
like
try to do it.
progress stuff. You know, people can scroll, they see kind of something as it's going, and you know, the next morning it's gone. And unless you're just really stoked about it, you don't have to really have it up all night or you know,
Yeah.
next week or whatever. But yeah, I like doing that. I like mixing those up a little bit, you know, like it's different levels of engagement with humans, and you know, you get a lot of good response out of, you know, just different other stuff about it, you know. I don't know, it's funny, like I've noticed like if it's not that complete of a tattoo, people like comment about what is in the background of the photo, just stuff like that. You know?
They start paying attention to the wrong things.
Yeah, you know, because your brain doesn't complete it. You don't like put it all together. All the building blocks aren't there for most humans. You know, like let's just be honest here. Like psychologically, we view things as artists, so we're lucky. We have this like imagination capability that other humans don't always wield as equally at times. And as an artist, we see things complete. We can look at something that is missing half of its lines, and we can tell that's meant to be a Tyrannosaurus outline or something, you know. And
Mhm.
you know, where most people will look at something and they go, "That's is that done? Is that a complete thing?" You know, and it's like that's kind of like the angle that like, you know, trying to like give this more of a complete look to people, you know. And like if it's not, I feel like it's just like some outlines or like bloody wash lines or something, you know, that I know are going to heal great for the next shading session, but you know,
It's like how we have the need or we have the obligation to like put work in progress if it's a work in progress.
I don't need
Otherwise,
that.
people would be like, "Why does it just stop right there?"
Yeah,
Well,
right. If it doesn't say that, like they assume that like, oh, I guess that's the type of work this person does. Like, ooh, you know, like,
Yeah, right.
and then they're like, cool.
I didn't really know
painting
what
on
you're
the
doing
wall.
with the bottom part, but I really like the upper part.
Yeah,
Like it's not
yeah.
done yet. Oh, I didn't know.
Is it
I
going to
didn't
look like
realize
that painting on the wall in the background?
yeah, that's the goal. It probably
Yeah.
will.
You mean complete? Yes.
I've actually had consultations with people where, they want a tattoo fixed or finished or covered. And it's like, so why didn't you go back to the artist to finish it? And they're like, oh, well, like maybe I should have, like they wanted me to come back, but I just didn't think. It's like, maybe you should have trusted your artist more.
Yeah, yeah.
And usually that's what I tell them. It's like,
I had
maybe
one
you
friend
need
tell
to
me- I had one friend tell me
patch that
was
bridge.
weird, and so I decided that I'm not going to do that.
What?
No, I'm kidding. I'm just saying, like, they probably had one friend say something to them about, oh, you got to go back for that. It looks done to me, or
Mhm.
it's not that good. If you got to go back and fix that, like, what does he want you to come back and fix it? Oh,
Some people's
then
friend
their
group
minds.
could be like, I don't know. I feel like, I, correct me if I'm wrong, I guess here, but like, have you dealt with other people where their friend has given them just the worst information ever?
All the time.
Oh, all the time. All the time.
Like aftercare ideas or like some like, that kind of stuff where they've just, their insecurities or naysaying has gotten somebody to sway their whole decision and just, second guess an artist or have some type of self-doubt about the piece or something. And you never see them again, possibly. Or, you're the receiving artist on somebody like that, where like, the story is this, my friend has told me that, they didn't think this was turning out so good and I never went back to that guy or whatever. It's like, some people's friends aren't really friends, I think.
Right.
Like they're
Right.
giving them this shit advice based off of like, trying to like sabotage or something almost, or they just
Right.
don't
What
know
do you-
enough.
I don't
They're not
understand what
educated,
I just don't understand what you're getting. I don't understand what's going to be.
Yeah,
Like,
their education level too, when it comes to like aftercare and stuff like that.
I was just going to bring up all the aftercare myths.
Dude,
Some of those are my favorites.
Your friend told you to put chapstick on it, like, no, who's your friend? Like, does
I
he
just been
love
putting
you?
antibiotic on it.
Does he even love you?
I love you. He's telling you that stuff. Yeah, I just, I've definitely had a few people where I'm just like, wow, man, like, can I be your friend? Because like your other friend sounds like bullshit.
Your friend sucks.
Yeah.
Oh man, all the misconceptions and miscommunications.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
you
don't
want
listen.
people
Don't listen to
feel
your
like-
friends when it comes to tattooing. Listen to your heart. And
Yeah,
what you-
unless they
Listen
fuck
to
with
your
it.
heart.
Yeah,
Unless
like,
they
what
know more
level
than
of like tattooing are they capable of doing before you like take their advice for that type of process? That'd be awesome. If they're doing the tats and they're keeping up with the sanitation and industry and product standards and things are. Like, okay, let's chat with that guy or person or whoever. In
Mhm.
the long run, like if they're not, they're just giving you some type of WebMD speculation bullshit. Like, probably shouldn't be listening to, man. Call your artist, call the studio that you trust the most. Hit up whoever you follow on the internet that's doing them really good and might give you some advice or something.
Right. And the people that think there's only one way to do things, like, no, I was told to do it this way.
Yeah.
Or you get the people where like, it's like some like we'll wrap in like saran wrap and stuff at the end, and then you get people like, no, I know that's gonna be bad for it. I know it's not gonna. You should not supposed to do that.
We've talked about this a
I'll
lot.
take
Like
something.
myself-
I just rather have it open. It's like, okay, you can rather have it open. That's cool, but like I think I know what I'm doing a little bit more than you do.
yeah, like the same artist might use different bandaging techniques and approaches depending on how much they've tattooed, where
Yeah.
on the body it is. Like if I do a full limb, so one of my early sessions with Adam, we worked all over my lower leg and it was just going to swell like crazy. And he used one of those disposable compression sleeves. And like ever since then, like I've always kept that compression and swelling when I work a really large area. So like I'm going to bandage if I work all the way around an arm or all the way around a leg, I'm going to bandage it differently than if I just work on one panel of that leg. If I just work on one panel, I might use, one of the trusted ADWs, adherent dermal wraps. If I wrap all the way around the leg, I might use like the tattoo armor and then put a layer of compression wrap around it. Like it just depends. Like same artist, same style of tattoo, but like different projects require different bandages. Like there's not necessarily one right or wrong way, but like bottom line, listen to your artist, not your homies, I guess.
Right.
I guess that's where this
And if
whole
they've given you a reason
it's
to do something,
looping
it's
around too.
because that's the reason that they thought that was what is for this tattoo.
Yeah.
So listen to your homies because your artist knows.
Unless like your homie is your artist, then listen.
Totally. Or unless they're like, you know, a capable peer, somebody that can be trusted, at least with that type of like, you know, profession-based knowledge like that, you know, is going to be pretty select when it comes to like just, you know, outsourcing, like phone a friend kind of shit. You know,
There's a
Mhm.
few
better be calling
prerequisites to
somebody that
give,
works at a studio.
few prerequisites that to give
Yeah, really.
their opinion anyway.
You check at least 12 of these 11 boxes.
I need to be sure that you care about my well-being in my body. And then I need to know that you know what you're talking about. Those are two pretty big boxes to check.
Right. You know, most of them just want to seem like they know best. And if they have a different idea than what your artist said, a lot of people just love for their opinion to matter. So they've got to be like, well, no, this is what my artist said. Well, this is how I've been doing my tattoos. Why would they have you do that? Or they wrapped you up and, you know, they did this and this and that.
Adam said he has to pee. I took a pee break a minute ago. You can just go. Like,
Okay,
just
so
go.
I'll be
Like,
back in a second. I just, you know, wanted to text you, but
Yeah.
I'll just
Yeah,
hear
we'll
it.
talk amongst
Talk
ourselves.
with Aud for a second.
Hey,
She
my
just
mom.
got back.
Yeah, my mom called me, so sorry for dipping out.
Hey, lady.
Right.
Hey.
I actually have to pee really bad too.
Jordan's got a pee
So
too.
I'm gonna-
Well,
I'm gonna disappear.
the girls can talk.
Girls.
So how's everything with odds?
Good. Yeah, I've been feeling more inspired to do art lately. I felt like I was like kind of not inspired for a little bit, so I've been feeling more motivated and excited to try new things and experience. I've been loving like little canvases lately. There's something so satisfying about like doing a lot in a short period of time.
Mhm. One of the things I like doing is I'll have like my big piece going. That's kind of like this is what I need to get done. Here are my goals. But in the meantime, I'll have like 2 or 3 little ones that I just kind of like jump to as my distraction piece. And then those end up turning into something really cool. Like sometimes those are my most favorite paintings, is the little ones that I'm just like half concentrating when I'm doing them.
Totally. I also do a thing where like if I have extra paint of a certain color, like I squeeze too much out and I'm waiting for a layer to dry on one canvas, I just use some on the other one and
Mhm.
make the most out of it. Sometimes it ends up working out really well.
Yeah, like, oh, let's go ahead and introduce a glaze of this color into this project over here. And then it kind of marries a series together and you can start seeing how like one paint next into the next with your like palette.
The connection's a little bit slow. It's
Oh, I
cutting
think
out.
we froze. There we go. I
Okay,
got a
cool.
frozen signal somewhere.
But what were you saying, Fawn?
I don't know. How long were we frozen?
We kind of cut off when you're talking about how like using a palette for multiple different paintings at the same time kind of ends up accidentally creating them as a series instead of just paintings.
Yeah, you can see the evolution of your paintings. Like you can almost like, at least with mine, I can like, if I were to line them all up, I could see which ones I started when by like how the color palette like evolves through them. And maybe not necessarily with my big paintings, but my little ones, you can see it because I've always got like, it just depends on what colors I've got out on my board for, you know, whatever my big project is.
Yeah, I love actually working on like multiple crystal grids at the same time. Like I have like wooden circles that I hand paint and stuff like that. It's really fun to do multiple of those at the same time, and it's also efficient. So I definitely get just kind of like bored if I'm working on one painting too long. So to keep this creative energy flowing, I like to switch to something else.
It's almost like changing the channel, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
switching to something else for a minute and then, all right, now that layer's dry, I'll come back and do the next thing.
Yeah, or sometimes I get kind of annoyed at like something I did and I'm like, I'm not sure about what I just did. So if I take my eyes off of it, move on to something else and go back, I'm like, oh, actually that wasn't bad. Like just needed a second.
And sometimes just taking your eyes off of it and looking at something else, when you come back, you'll like things line up. Like you'll see perspectives a little bit differently. You'll see like color groupings a little bit differently, just like by coming back to the project with a fresh eye.
Mhm.
I feel like that's really helpful with like some of my breaks when I'm tattooing, especially when I'm working with big fields of color and like, like complementary skies and reflections and things like that. When I can like take my eye away from it for 15 or 20 minutes and then look back at it, it's like, oh, okay, here's what I need to make the rest of this make sense.
Yeah, I totally feel the same way, especially for like if I'm painting any sort of human or anything like more on the realistic side, like it's easy to kind of like get caught up and looking at one part. I don't know if that shadow is the right shape. So just stepping away and coming back gives a reset.
Mhm.
See it better.
It's like where when you get so involved with something, you start like overthinking it and second guessing your choices. You don't want to push something too far, so then you end up overworking it. Where sometimes like that mental and visual break is the magic ingredient, because like you'll just walk back up to it and it's like, oh, it only needs this. Like I was fretting about this here, but this was actually like, sometimes it's not the shadow, it's the highlight that needs adjusted.
Totally. New perspectives. Yeah, and I like continuing working on art at the same time, so I don't get like into a whole new zone of cleaning or doing something else. Like I want to keep it the subject on art if possible.
Mhm. Yep. That's probably the thing that's got Jordan so inspired to spending money. He's setting up a new art studio in the new house.
Oh yeah.
So you'll end up with projects galore.
Mhm. All the room for it.
Yep.
That was the most fun setting it up here, is just being able to get exactly what I wanted out of it.
Yep. My next thing is kind of like rearranging my basement studio and making it a little bit more utilitarian. I've got a TV down there now, so I can put on background noise while I paint. So that'll
Nice.
help.
Nice.
But my basement's actually really nice. I've got good light down there, believe it or not. So I need to start. I just end up like turning my living room into my mess area. I like nest and I bring all my mess to the living room and then it'll be covered with everything. And then I
Right.
should go down to the basement.
I do
keep
love
that my
I do
creative
love doing
space.
that though. I love doing that, but I've got myself nice rugs and carpet and stuff. Now I got more initiative to like go to the space that I've created for it.
Fair.
But I've got a nice little sculpture and painting studio down there.
Yeah,
All space I need.
that's awesome.
Thanks, man.
Your guys' whole entire house is like a creative space.
We try.
I mean, half of our living room is like our main little like painting studios each, just for like, sitting in the living room. We could, a friend comes over or whatever, we don't have to like bring him to a different space that isn't comfortable or whatever. And then like for us, it made it way more comfortable to just rearrange the living room to where we had our own little like painting corners with stuff, and that's helped kind of stay busy and still like watch a documentary or whatever, without only just watching the documentary and smoking weed. And then you sit there and you're like, do I want to paint? Do I want to paint?
Yeah.
So like now I do this thing where like I put the documentary on, I pause it, I roll one up, get all my painting stuff together, sit down to paint, play the thing, smoke my J while I'm doing the painting already. That helps like not be so like bleh. Maybe not tonight kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Back in Columbus, we actually watched like pretty much all of Game of Thrones like while painting. So like there's probably a lot that I missed because I'm just like into it, but it just helps to have something else in the background. Like sometimes not music too. Like sometimes it's nice to listen to other podcasts or like a show.
Yep. Yeah, I get on different things. I don't know. So you did hit the nail on the head. Like sometimes music doesn't scratch the itch of like the mental stimulation that I need while it's like coming out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm like tired of it.
No, that happens to me. That happens to me all the time. I'm going through a pretty weird music phase right now where I love a lot of music, but I've listened to everything I've ever loved so much that it only has to be new music, and it takes me a minute to
and then you don't even like the new music.
I've been doing a lot of just TV in the background.
I feel that.
Hit me up. We got some new music lists I could send you of some people.
Nice. I like that.
Nice.
Definitely like that.
Things maybe that you could possibly use for a theme song or something too.
I'd be down for some rad theme music. I just want something weird that nobody else has. Like
Yeah,
I don't
that's what
know.
everybody wants, right? That's
Yeah.
fucking the pursuit of humanity.
Well, here's the thing. Between Jordan and I, like we've got a plethora of music instruments. We have a plethora of technology. We have a plethora of recording equipment.
For
Why
everyone,
don't we
it's
have our
like
own
a
theme music?
plethora means a multitude.
Definitely
Yes.
have multitudes.
Multitudes, plethoras,
I think I have 7 or 8
copious
guitars
amounts,
here.
copious amounts of noise making equipment.
Nice. So you guys can have like a drum circle or like a subway kind of band or something.
We've got hand drums,
Everything we need to do the
multiples.
things we're not doing.
all the things, all
You
the
guys could
things.
go like get on the Coda bus and like play instruments for people that are on the bus, you know. That's
Maybe
gonna
we
be
could
great.
just get people on the bus to play instruments for us, like just have the
Put
instrument.
everyone
And
like
just
Yeah.
give it to
hands
them,
up.
be like, here,
That's cool.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah,
play
yeah.
this for me.
You know, we might be onto
What the
something.
heck's going on right now?
Give one to the bus driver.
I don't play guitar.
Oh, this might be the best way to come up with some theme music I've ever heard in my life.
No, just play something.
Music for you, by you.
Just play something.
It'd just be straight noise.
Oh, you have tattoos? Take this guitar.
I
No,
played
play
trumpet.
something. No,
Dude,
just
you're gonna like hand
play
off
something.
like a hand drum to like Travis Barker or somebody in disguise.
So I wish I
Nail
knew
it.
the artist's name, but I saw this video where like this guy who's a very talented artist, he draws people who are sitting across from him on the subway and then hands it to them.
Yep.
And they're like shocked because he's so good. They're like very accurate.
I can't think of that artist's name either. I follow him as well, but they're always just like touching sweet little videos. Like whoever he gives it to, they usually just like they either have a weird reaction or they're like touched and
Did
happy.
you have to draw my eye booger, man? Come on, dude. It doesn't have to be exact.
This is what you think I look like?
Yeah, really. My nose that big.
Yep. It do be that way sometimes.
Is my forehead always like that when I read?
Right. So the artist is also pressured to not to like be proportionate.
Oh man, my shoe was untied.
It's like it's like,
Pea dribble on my jeans,
like to
dude.
just be someone who attempts it. Like you kind of got to be good at it, or it could be like
For
weird.
sure. Yeah, man. That's a lot of bravery.
Thanks for the caricature.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
How come my one eye's here and one eye's here and my nose is down
Uh,
here? Like, is that how you see me, or you
Is
just-
this how you draw your French girls, Jack? Is this how you draw them?
Sorry, no, I'm just learning it.
We should do that, but we just draw like really crude stick people.
Yeah, right.
But like take
Look
forever.
all serious, have the
Yeah, take all
professional
serious.
setup,
Be all
sharpen
like-
our pencil with our knife, sharpen our
Like-
knife, then
like
sharpen our
wad it up
pencil.
a couple times and like second guess it and then like make that one. It's like,
There was some
Right.
charcoal on it.
Yes.
Oh man, that would be fantastic. We need to make this happen.
Imagine being the person getting drawn and you just like see someone like going like this like all the time. Like
I would be like,
Concentrating, color matching things,
like,
pulling out the viewfinder, like
I would-
matching
I would
things
be
up.
like, if I was the person not knowing what's going on at all.
Pulling one of
I would,
these, like
I would just be like,
back.
like, I would like keep my head down, pretend this isn't happening. This person keeps putting their eyes up at me constantly. Are they drawing me? What
Also,
are they
but,
gonna say
like-
something about this? Are they just gonna put it in their notebook and then like
you could also start sketching them. It's
I've
like,
been sketching you,
sketch me, I'll sketch
sketching
you,
me.
you know, and then you hand them that stick figure.
you just gotta be so intense. You
Tradesies.
gotta be so intense with it the whole time while you're drawing those stick figures. So like after like 20 minutes of hardcore like staring.
And then we could cut to two homeboys trading tattoos. Be fantastic.
Yeah. That's funny.
I feel like this is something I'd want to do like in Vegas if I were a street performer. draw people, make it be like super duper serious, have all these real serious drawings and portraits around me, like just dramatic charcoal, backlit, highlit, and then turn it around and it's just like a balloon person. Or the whole time I'm just drawing like Christopher Walken,
Yes.
somebody different the whole hand it to him.
Where you're just like drawing a mustache
What
on like
you-
a
what
Time
you-
magazine cover.
Right. Just staring at him the whole time, drawing something, turning around, it's just something completely different. What they look like. Something completely random. You just drew an
Like you
elephant,
blacked out the
like
tooth on like a
Like a
model or something.
a turtle in space or something.
Make it look like you're all serious and you're like
Yeah.
coloring a picture of a plane.
And isn't art great like that? Like that, there's a thing too, like someone out there would see that and be like, whatever price, just tell me I want it, I want it right next to the banana with tape on it on my wall and stuff.
Go up on the street and just do get what you get paintings. Just
I want to turn
give me
these
a-
into
give me
get what
50
you get
bucks, you're gonna get
tattoos.
what you get.
Whoa.
Would you get what you get tattoo from a total stranger? Just
A lot.
on like looking them up and down, like
That's a lot of real estate gifted to like something just so random.
I mean, I guess I've got an area of my body dedicated to little sporadic random tattoos. So
Oh,
it
so
has to be there.
it would be little. No.
I mean, I'm not saying dedicate like an entire sleeve at like rolling the dice,
Yeah.
but we've all, well, I mean, most of us have little
I could
trinket
do it, but,
tattoos
hey,
that,
if you got space for it. Random stranger. It depends. They're
Hmm.
cool.
Yeah.
They're really
Where are we
cool.
meeting?
Like, had some sort of cool like art background or something, but
hmm.
No thanks.
Okay, so you know how there's like board certified surgeons? Like, what if there was that for tattoo artists? Like some sort of like, but who makes these rules? That's the big thing. But like,
They're like the elite.
Well,
maybe-
so
Tattoo
that's always been like anytime I'm
board.
chilling with like the health
The
department
board.
talking, and one of the things is they can inspect, they can make sure that we are tattooing properly. They can make sure we're tattooing hygienically and safely. But like there is no board that says, yes, you are a good enough artist to make permanent marks in people's skins for the rest of their lives and make these things that they're going to be talking about with their grandchildren, great grandchildren. Yes, you are good enough for that responsibility.
Hmm.
And then eventually the standards would get so high, we would have like lack of new artists and lack of new styles just because things are like outside the box.
Well, everyone
know?
does things differently too. So
Yeah.
it's hard to say which way's right and which way's not right.
Yep. So that's one of the funny areas is like you wanna weigh to like, are you a good enough artist to do this permanently, like make these permanent marks? But then it's such a gray area because that standard is so different, from one person to the next, one style to the next.
Right.
One thing I did notice about moving from Ohio to Oregon, Ohio is like, they don't care. There's just like this like gray line between like what a private studio means and what type of regulation you need, and if you need like private licensing, or if like a studio license works as a blanket building license for just everybody that wants to tattoo underneath the flag. Whatever. It's just so open-ended like that, where like here I had to, I've been tattooing 25 years when I moved here, and like I had to prove 3 years of taxation that I've filed as a tattoo artist, so your last 3 years had to be, you had to note on your tax form that I'm filing for tattoo artist, as like as an occupation. And then they have a class that, like was, not a class, excuse me, like a test that you take for the state understanding of it. And part of it was like pigments and blending pigments and like what machinery and needles and mechanics of like different types of coils and what armature bar links do with different levels of electromagnetism, and just, it's deep. And, I have to say, the first time I took it, I failed it. And, I was like, what the hell? Like, I failed the tattoo test? Like, there's no way. I've done this forever. I've got all this under my belt, I feel like, and like, I realized that there was also a good mix of other occupational side related kind of business things like piercing and electrolysis and just that kind of stuff is all kind of mixed into the same test here, because that's a blanket thing that the health board monitors together. And so I failed some of the testing questions involving piercing and that type of
Isn't
anatomy.
there one with like hair color too? Like it was
There wasn't
like-
anything with like cosmetology, but there were things about like what the electrolysis process does to the hair follicle and things like that, that I'm like, not really trying to ever do electrolysis. It's awesome knowledge to have, I guess. But like, how dare you fail me for that? And I passed all these other questions with flying colors. So I just studied better and came at it way differently the second time. I passed it with a 99. So I was just like, why is that even on the test? But the things that they did test about tattooing, I was really like kind of stoked, because I was like, wow, that's awesome that it goes that deep. But nowhere in there is actually like what we were talking about before, like the proficiency test, the skill test, the how much talent do you have at doing a really exceptional job as a tattooer test, but anybody can look at this handbook that I was able to get and study, that's got all the test answers and the easy route, towards passing the test, which is a multiple choice test, but that's not hands-on actually, feeling the vibration of the machine, doing a good job and having it heal properly, understanding all the aspects of that, is a different story. It's just, there's no way to test that, I don't think, really.
Yeah, right.
Just too, the standards just too different, too much of a gray area. And then, I don't know, I just still feel like application would be the only way you could really test somebody, is like, how well do you put it into the skin? But that still doesn't determine, do you know how to like lay out a tattoo with good flow? You know what I mean? Like,
Oh,
well, you could be a technically great artist, like it can be done sanitary and like the lines in there, but it looks like a child's drawing. So I think the more important thing to certify people is the safety, because it's up to the client to decide who they trust to get art on them, but like, is the person going to do it safely? That's what will affect people more in the long run. Like, am I going to get an infection, or someone used cartridges twice or whatever? Like, we have to make sure that people are doing it. That's not going to hurt people.
is that a thing? Do people cartridge twice?
Is that a thing? Like
I don't-
gross people?
There's someone.
Let's just assume that like everything like that is still somewhere happening at any level.
Don't get in rubbing alcohol. That's
What do you
the
mean? I'm
other
all out of
way.
7-liners. There's one I used yesterday in the bin.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna leave this set up because I got a similar project tomorrow.
Wash your
Just
sharps
let me just
container,
lick the
throw
ink
away
off real
stuff
quick.
properly, don't put needles in the trash, all that kind of stuff. Close your dumpsters. Because who knows, there definitely are a lot of like kind of scabby kind of, and when I say scab, I mean like scavenger kind of vibes, where people could still get their hands on equipment like that and rinse it out and not tell the next person, just to make $50 or whatever at some house party kind of situation. There's still, I would say like that's a very small, slim angle just because of how much is available on like, online sales sites that don't require any type of give a shit. So they'll ship to whoever, whatever, and it's actually clean and sterile, and, to the best of their ability. So, there's a way less amount of like that whole like, somebody's like reusing things multiple times. I would imagine at this point, but who knows, man? We're definitely living in the Western world too, where, we're used to steel and plastic products that we can use and throw in the trash or dispose of into like sharps containers, and we can access and purchase more of them easily, where certain other places on this planet don't have that ease of access to products, and some of the things that they do have their hands on might be being utilized a multitude of times until.
To be fair, I would get a stick and poke with a thorn and some soot from somebody under the right circumstances. Not just anybody, but
Right.
under the right circumstances. I would be down for that.
Are you bringing your own
experience.
thorn?
Can we go harvest a new thorn by chance?
What's that thorn cutting today? That one looks a little dingy, man. I don't know. I know it's sharp and stuff.
Someone's got a nick at the end.
Yeah, really.
Let's go for a hike.
Yeah.
Aphids on that one.
Wire wrap a new handle for this thing.
That'd be the way to do it.
Yeah, my dad's a tattooer. He's been tattooing since 1975 or 6 at this point, I think. He learned kind of just by watching my grandpa tattoo, who was tattooing until 79 when he died. And my dad at times is still pretty gruff. He's kind of an old biker dude and shit, so he's got a different attitude about what level of cleanliness they were forced to kind of jump into in like 85 and 86 or so there, when the laws kind of changed and the Board of Health actually started enforcing things differently and being like, no, you got to wear gloves, guys. So we don't care if you're mad about it, like get some gloves, that's the rule, or we're gonna have to shut you down, it just went through these like levels of him just being like, okay, I guess, kind of stuff to a lot of that. And one of them was like the reuse of needles. That was actually a thing that had to be kind of put on the ticket, because they're like, no, people are doing that. So
I actually
put
know
that on the
someone
wall.
who was tattooed in the 70s and ended up getting hepatitis C. So it was because of reused needles.
Yeah.
I mean,
You could do that for up to a certain amount of time. Actually, going to Europe one time, I was tattooing at the Avion show in France, and the Board of Health lady sat us all down and gave us like a crash course in like their local kind of bloodborne pathogens and stuff. And the first slide she pops up is gloves. We all look at each other like, yeah, gloves, okay. And she's like, these are gloves. You can use these. We're like, new law, like this is like 2003 or 4 or something, I was like, this is not a new law, but there was a new law. They'd had like a massive spike in hepatitis and syphilis. It was like 35% higher than it had been in the last 10 years or something. And they were blaming prostitution, and ended up being, they thought that the tattoo industry had a hand in it because there was little to no regulations, and they were allowed to use a needle. She was telling us up to 4 times before it was too dull or full of tissue material or something that would have to be thrown out.
Jesus.
Up to 4
Yeah.
times.
4 times.
Nope.
Till it's too clogged up
Nope.
with humans.
We're living in this like modern, oh wow, we got our fucking ideas together better on this stuff, like it's nice that we're not existing in the weird 70s 80s kind of time,
Mhm.
whatever.
At least now there's like consistency. Like there are differences from one brand to the next, but once you find what you like, you can consistently get the same thing over and over again. And back then, they're making their own needles, they're making their own machines. Not everybody is as good as a craftsman as the next person. So there's a lot of variables.
Yeah.
Like making a good tattoo required you to be able to make a good machine, and it required you to get your hands on a good machine, and then get your hands on good needles or make good needles. Where now it's just, you got your bloodborns. Okay, here's your shipment. Here's your order.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, at least there's that. At least, you always got to prove like you do know bloodborne pathogen safety and, sanitary technique before you can get tattoo equipment legally. But there was a time. Have you heard Marty talk about the bucket, the rinse bucket that they had in the middle of the room with the sponge? Ugh. Back in the 70s.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Marty jokes around that he used to get teased
bucket
for
of
wearing
death.
gloves before people were required to wear gloves. He's like, I just didn't like having dirty hands and people's like ink and blood under my fingernails.
He told me one time that like Stoney and people used to give him a hard time for having gloves on. like other artists would like razz him and make it like a fucking joke, shit, you know, that you're actually wearing those.
Ooh, look
man.
at Marty wearing his
Yeah,
gloves.
man. Like, oh man, you innovative, bud. Thank you.
Mr. Hollywood.
Thanks, Marty. Thanks for setting a good example.
Totally.
You were ahead of the times.
The wizard knows best, man.
Is that a painting of Marty on the wall behind you, by the way?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's just say yeah.
I bet he'd take it. Perfect compliment. We call him the wizard whenever he comes in. I do. I shouldn't say we. I think everybody does, but he's a wizard.
Yeah, definitely.
So you're working on anything cool, Jordan?
Lots of cool projects, I feel like, tattoo wise. Drew up a cool back piece yesterday.
Nice. Oh, the one you shared?
Mhm.
That's pretty rad looking. I hope somebody snacks that idea up.
Me too.
Should I pull it up?
Yeah, definitely.
Let
Put
me-
in a good couple hours on that one. Just to get some idea down, but it felt good to sit down and sketch. I feel like I've been so busy with this whole move and everything for the past 2 months that I haven't had time to actually sit down and sketch anything outside of what my current project is.
Hold on.
So that's been nice.
Here
Well,
it
that was
is.
nice yesterday.
Screen share. There's the button. Boom. Look at this thing. Let
Whoa.
me get the whole thing in here so you guys can see it. Yeah, isn't this next level?
Pretty awesome.
Thank you. Definitely not done with it. And like tons of like airbrush on there, like digital, but tons of just like airbrush that I didn't go back and refine many lines or anything like that. So there's more work I could put into it, but I just like called it good for the day, just for the sake of the
I love
sketch.
this like thing that kind of comes in front that kind of has a little pod or like a little pearl kind of encapsulated, like the tentacle that kind of pops out.
There are two of them.
The overlaps. There's two like stages of them, yeah, like top and bottom.
Kind of like an eye almost.
Nice, thank you.
Can be a lot
Maybe
of-
they were kind of like telekinetic feelers or something.
Totally.
Yeah, I like how there is even like almost like a heart shape at the top. I mean, it can be whatever it is. It just made me think of love and a heart.
Yeah, I
I
like
like
that. I like that. Yeah, I noticed that.
It's cool.
Kind of just came
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, super cool. So there's this when you like, it's like a program through like the Procreate where it does like it assimilates the other side as you like draw one side kind of or something.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
So you can kind of see it like being created as you use like different paintbrushes and stuff too.
Definitely. So the entire time, yeah, both sides are getting put together. So like I switch while I'm drawing, I'll be drawing on one side, then I'll draw on another side. It'll just continually keep it symmetrical.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I've seen Odds actually use that. She makes a lot of like mandala art and turns those into like different products and bandanas and tapestries and stuff. And you know, she'll use it where it's got like the one that splits it into like 6 and 8 kind of, you know, different tiles and stuff.
Right.
Yeah. I never really thought to try it with just like 2 like that. It's cool.
Yeah, it's definitely really helpful for like
For symmetry like
symmetrical
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely
time.
cuts a lot of the bullshit process out. Like honestly, man, like I had a teacher in like elementary school one time, like show us how to do this with mirrors. And she like gave us all like
Okay.
a flat panel mirror that, you know, we drew something and she showed us how to put it up, you know, with like another mirror and it would box out and make a whole mandala shape out of anything. You know? Like, oh, whoa. And then, you know, you just kind of use that as the ancient tech kind of, you know, to kind of draw the next segment or something. But
I remember being a kid, I used to take a piece of paper and fold it in half, and then I'd like make this crazy line with the crayon as dark as I could, and I'd fold it in half, and then I'd rub it,
Yep.
and
Oh, yeah.
then you'd unfold it, and you'd have a light outline, and you could go
Trace
through
all the way
a
around.
perfectly mirrored
Yeah.
monster.
Oh yeah,
Or
that's
my
how you make
favorites.
like Jeff Goldberg fucking tribal and shit in the 90s and early 2000s. And shit
Yep.
everybody wanted for like armbands and stuff. Draw half, fold the paper, rub that thing off, flip it out, lay it down, get it tatted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to be so strict with myself, like just trying to freehand mandalas, which I got pretty good at doing it freehand and making them as symmetrical as possible. But I just think it's so much more efficient to use programs that can perfectly split it into 8 or however many sections you need.
Yeah.
It's nice to have the shortcut, but I love knowing how to like sit down with a protractor and a ruler and make a symmetrical mandala. I love knowing how to do it with like the organic tools, but man, it's
I feel
great
like
having the
mandalas,
shortcuts.
If you don't have
It's
that,
good doing both.
if you don't have that previous knowledge, you know, or you don't think about that and you're just drawing freely on those mandala programs, I feel like the mandalas definitely look different. There's a big difference between the way those mandalas end up looking because they're just a lot more randomly structured. You see a lot more structure, I feel like, in the people who like know how to break them down. They know how they're segmenting them, you know, they're creating full polar grids for it,
Yep.
as opposed to just like, you know, line here, line. I mean, that's cool. I mean, it doesn't matter how you go about it. Like there's no right or wrong way. That's not what I'm saying. But I feel like there's definitely a finer quality or a different quality to the people who can hand draw them like that.
Yeah, and there's meditation and doing the repetition too, like getting yourself into that flow. That looks awesome.
Yeah.
Here's a piece I've got started. We've got right here, we only had one session in, but this kind of goes back to like how much you can possibly get done in a session. I'm about to show you after session 2. Boom.
That's awesome.
So we got that whole field of outer space in there. This is going to turn into a full back piece that like morphs into an underwater scene, which will be super fun.
Awesome.
But I'm pretty excited about how these constellations are turning out. The
Very
planets are going to be super fun. But
Super rich colors. I love it.
yeah, she wanted to go with a lot of reds. And I was like, we're going to have to work a lot of blacks in here to make it like dynamic enough to complement what we're going to do down below. And she was down for it. So I love how on fire some of the areas are starting to read. Very
I
like,
love how you use like the dioxazine purple. Like I use that in my galaxies too to kind of like fade it. It's like creates dimension with the really dark tones. Like it's not just black. It's
yeah,
just really-
black, not black. Pulling
Yeah.
out from like black into that rich purple before you like hit the reds and oranges, I think is crucial for it to not look flat and like to not have that like line of like demarcation between black and color, you know, that like rich concentrate is necessary. But
Blurple.
blurple, yeah. So there's a little bit of what I've been up to. I don't always share as much on here as I probably should, but this is a project I'm excited about.
Fawn does awesome tattoos.
Thanks, Adam. I try. But so
Jordan does tattoos. Just fucking with you.
Jordan does awesome
Yeah, I'm
tattoos.
just fucking with you.
They're awesome.
It skipped out. My bad. Let me.
Nice, Adam. Real nice.
Thanks, guys.
So
Yeah,
we
definitely check out
have
their-
we talk-
they don't probably post their stuff as much as we do, you know, but definitely like, you know, they're the host and they definitely have a lot of awesome stuff going on all the time. So don't
We
be
make art.
asshole about it as often
Yeah.
as you do cool shit. Show everybody, man. Show them.
we make art.
Thanks,
It
guys.
happens. So it's been an awesome episode, Adam. Thanks for taking the time to join us this morning. I would love to have you on anytime you and Odds are available, or Odds anytime you're available. You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
It's always
let us
fun.
know.
Thanks for
We're
having us.
definitely pretty busy people, but we're happy to like get on and chat with
Yeah.
our home stuff. It's been
Yep,
nice to be part of
your
it.
slow weeks when you've got Thursdays, we'd love to hear from you.
Cool, man. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
We'll keep us
All right,
posted.
guys.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
Adam,
awesome.
don't work too hard today. Make a lot
Never
of
that.
magic happen. And we will catch up with everybody next week.
Okay.
So, awesome, guys.
Thanks, guys.
See you soon.
Yep.
Bye.
See you.
Bye.
Hold on. I got to text Lauren to end this thing. Or you can.